How do I do this again? This is what happens. This is what happens when I don't live stream for what, 3 weeks?
I don't know. I haven't done one for over a month, so.
There we are.
Or a month, or I don't know.
Being that month in fascist book jail, I haven't been.
Yeah,
Well-
Don, Don. I haven't even heard from you in a while, so I guess they got you in jail for a good long time, huh?
30 days.
Oh, Jesus, what'd you do?
Well, I told them it was the Biden made the comment about he's proud of the black and brown kids for being just as smart as the rich white kids. And somebody said something typically, well, what about the poor white kids? And I said, let's not bring the poor white trash into this because they don't exist in Democrats.
Oh, my God. Wow. Okay. So the worst I've ever been kicked off Facebook was for 7 days. And I had I think I was kicked off consistently every other week for 7 days. I was just like, oh my God. So I can't imagine 30 days. But
I got a friend on Facebook. He regularly gets banned for 30 days. I see him once a month.
By the way,
you know what you got to tell him? You got to tell him, hey, guys, this affects my business.
One of these days, I think they're just going to delete his Facebook account because he ain't on for one day and he gets banned.
that's what happened to Tracy. They deleted his whole account, lost all his photos and friends and everything.
Well, okay. Guns of the Old West, Dustin Weinecker says, hi, fellas. Hi. George Gooding says, I've been having withdrawal fits from not being here. Sorry, I've been come home at the last 2-3 weeks. Thursday and Friday, I've been working 10-hour days. I come home, I just want to go. Today I had a short day, so I'm like, yay, I get to go home, get a shower before I fall asleep. But we have a special guest from the Slick Six Guns from the Slick. I can't even say your name.
Slick Six Guns. I know it's a tongue twister.
Yes. Then we have
Times.
Duke, who's been here probably since the beginning, and then we have Don Gertz from Facebook, and I'm trying to get I had all this kind of unsquared away again. But yeah, we're just talking about some of our favorite holsters and guns, cowboy action, just basically anything that pops in our head. Fascist book.
Term.
Oh, yeah. Did you coin that term, Don?
Coin that term.
Oh, God. Yeah, I was wondering where that came from. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this only Don's idea or is this other people's idea? So I had to ask the man.
I'm guilty. They keep saying my session has expired and there's a possible breach. Make a new password. So that was my password for a while.
God. And have they caught on to it now?
Well, I use fascist book, but I added one more word behind it. I'm not going to say that word.
Will it start with an F as well?
Yes.
Gotta hand it to you. At least you admit it.
Oh, goodness gracious.
30 days. It ain't like they're going to shave my head same in Okinawa for a year.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
so
But seriously, I gotta ask you, Don. Been meaning to ask you this. How long has Black Powder, the group, been around?
All Things Cowboy, I guess I started it
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay.
About 3 years
Okay.
ago. I was with Black Powder enthusiasts, Black Powder revolver enthusiasts, and one of the members, Michael, I won't say his last name, but he was 17 years old at the time. and they were really giving them a hard time because they're just so scared of Facebook shutting the group down because this 17-year-old kid's playing, he's got the guns and stuff. And I'm like, well, let the kid play. So I started he was like one of my founding members because I basically started the group because it's like, okay, in my group, you could talk about your horse, your truck, your trailer, your spurs, your hat, your gun belt, your musket, your Winchester, and your AR-15 all in the same thread. I don't get all bent out of crepe. That's why I say it's all things cowboy. But our focus is on black powder revolvers and rifles. That's why we don't talk about modern smokeless loading data, because that stuff is out there all over the internet. If you want to know, you can find it. Now, I talked a little bit about my 458 SOCOM because it's so new. Sammy hasn't picked it up yet. So, I mean, I'm on like a high road. I'm on this forum, that forum. I'm trying to get an idea on these loads. So I posted a video tonight that basically says what my load is. And I'm literally shooting with this rifle with the Trijicon Tripar. Has got the same red chevron as the ACOG. And I'm literally shooting perfect one-hole shot groups at 25 yards with this gun off the sandbag.
Mm-hmm.
I got everything that came out of my ATN X-Sight 2 fit underneath the nickel, and everything that came out of the open flip sights would fit under a nickel. Amazing gun because it's a big piece of lead. It's a low-velocity gun. And I'm duplicating the same load I'm using in my 4570. So my video that I'm working up to do is I want to get some 405s loaded in the SOCOM so I can shoot the single shot trapdoor, the lever action 1886, and the 458 SOCOM side by side, starting at 50-yard increments, and basically see how far out I can get before the bullets are just firing so far off that I can't compensate.
Okay.
Because the trapdoor I filed in the rear sight, so it's good from 50 to 325 yards. I've only shot the 1886 8 times, and that's the only 8 times it's ever been shot in the last 50 years. So that's basically a 50-year-old brand new rifle. But I'm still working on that one. And the SOCOM, basically, you've got 6 center and 12 o'clock aiming points, and then you've got the tip top of the chevron, the inside of the chevron, and the base of the chevron. These are 3 aiming points with the tri-car. With your flip sights, those are pretty much 50 to 100 yard. Here it is. It's what you got. Deal with it. Go with it. Kentucky winded your butt off. That's about the best you're going to do with it. But with the data, I should be a little high at 100, right on at 150, about 14 inches low at 200. And after that, with 300 yards is a 52-inch drop from 200. So, I mean, you're done at 200 yards with that AR platform. Because there's no way to get a vernier to elevate. So that's the advantage of shooting cowboy guns. I bet you're wondering how we're talking about black powder holsters and guns, and I'm going to work that in. As great as an 11-shot semi-automatic is, you are limited to your range. When you start dealing with the black powder guns, because I don't know anybody that makes a Picatinny rail mount for a C-sharp vernier.
I don't think I even heard
Okay.
of anyone even wanting to do that. Guns of the Old West, we call him Dustin, asked if we could just call you Slick.
We're kind of coming in broken here just a little bit, so I apologize if some don't respond and look on camera. So, yeah.
Can we call you Slick?
Sorry, Don. Was there a question or no?
Yeah, can we just call you Slick?
Can we just call you Slick?
I think he stalled out.
Might have.
I'm not even full question. I don't know if it's the Just try one more.
Just give it a second. Slick, just give it a second if you can hear us.
I'm gonna grab a Coke.
All right.
I don't know how well that's working.
Yeah. Yeah, click. At least read. I may not be able to hear.
I tell you what, I changed beverages tonight. I went to the Hatch green chili, and then I put a jalapeno in there, and god dang, that stuff's even worse than the red. Holy crap.
I'm just drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds like I'm a little. Yeah. I'm glad that you one you had Jeremy and me, but I couldn't due to time. So I'm glad you.
You're more than welcome.
Kicked me out. So.
I have no clue what he said because it broke up.
Yeah, I think he stalled out too.
Slick, you might have to back out and then come back in. If I need to just let me know so I can resend you the.
I tell you what, if you're too cheap to get a vasectomy, this will pay for it. Or take care of it, I should say. This will take care of it. God dang.
Yeah, I think he's froze. He's froze on my screen. Is he froze on y'all's?
Yeah, well, he's coming in and out.
Yeah. I think.
Still coming.
You might have to back out.
You're gonna have to. And see.
Right there, Don. Right there. Well,
okay.
Well,
He must have a real bad connection over there, don't he?
something happened. It's probably something on his device or whatever he's using is updating, and that steals all the bandwidth. All right. So I call this one our favorite leathers. Don, why don't you go first since you probably have the most. I've had the most different kinds of gun leathers and stuff. What's your favorite kind? What's your favorite one that you've had?
My favorite gun leather. Well, up until about the last 10 years, I've always been a cheap tightwad. So the only two gun belts I owned was the military web belt with the Bianchi military holster and the case.
God
I had my canteens and all that on it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, since I did living history, every single gun I owned, except for a very few, fit my Civil War cavalry flap holster, so I carried my saber belt. Well, I have to say the 1851 saber belt is by far my most versatile and favorite gun leather. Now, everyday carry, I've got the one that you usually see in my pictures. I don't have it in here. I could probably go get it. I like a good Cogburn belt with a double loop Mexican holster, but probably all-time favorite is the cavalry holster.
All right. Let's see how Slick's doing. Slicks, how's your can you hear us now and stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. If you're still coming in broken, I'm gonna have to move this because I'm actually outside, away from my Wi-Fi, and I'm on my cell phone Wi-Fi.
That would do it.
Yeah, that's probably your problem. It also looks like you're in a metal building.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, give it a few minutes to see what happens. Duke, what's your favorite holster? While don't the Mexican triple loop.
Yeah, this is the one I made. This is the first pattern I made from scratch that turned out right on the first try.
Nice.
This is the prototype to this pattern, and it fits like a glove for my 73 single action.
Just move. And move, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Just take your time, man. This is your. I understand. Well, I have a feeling everybody understands. This is your first time on this. It's a little finicky.
Oh, can I jump in?
Go
Yeah.
for it.
All right. So I went ahead and grabbed my toys. And got a little together here, but I got Schofield holster on it right now. And this is my 51 Saber belt. And this has by far been my favorite in my lifetime, my number one holster. Because if I was going to say carry my Smith & Wesson Model 25,
God.
No. You're supposed to enjoy it, not commit suicide on it, all right?
Well, this is the red one, and the colder it gets, the stronger it gets.
So this is from Douglas Ray Kids, Border States Leatherworks out of Springdale, Arkansas. I used to have two of these, and I carried them on my. I would slide them up on the holster and then strap that to my breast collar on my cavalry rig. So I had two of these. But basically, this will carry 2 cylinders, and this was his Remington double cylinder case. But you could carry speed loaders, 45 Colt. I mean, it's so versatile. And basically, you could put a cylinder in one side, and then you get your packages of paper cartridges, your Johnson & Dowell paper body cartridges, and you could stack 3 of them on the other side, so you could carry basically 24 shots in this for your cap and ball, or 2 cylinders, or 2 speed loaders. Now this is integrated. The other,
Or Don probably if someone had something like that and they only had 1 cylinder and 1 cap and ball revolver, they could probably just fill it that whole box up with cap and ball paper cartridge box.
Yeah.
now that's a pistol cartridge box. This is actually solid on the inside. It's got a double lining in it to carry loose powder if you have to.
Hey, Jeremy, why don't you highlight Don so he's bigger on there so we can kind of see a little bit,
Let me see if I can remember how to do that.
if you can.
Solo layout. There we go. There you go.
Okay. Now we can see.
So my favorite holster belt is my cavalry rig, my 1851 Saber belt with a flap holster. Now that is a double cylinder case. Now my little leather thingies inside have tore out, and I don't mind it too much because see, I can get it in and out real easy like this.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be able to grab this and just pull it out to get to it. But you got the option to carry this. Like I said, I used to slide these on my camel holsters. They just go on it like that. And then I had the little ties that wrap around my breast collar, and that would hold them in place. But you got the cap case. You can carry percussion caps, musket caps. Get about 30 to 40 22 long rifles in there, about 20 38s, 12 45 Colts. Very versatile. Got a nice little spot for the knife. This is the hook that you hook your saber with, but I usually hook it into my knife sheath so it doesn't slide all over the place. Like I said, you had the double cylinder case as an option to put on it. This is my carbine cartridge box that was for my Sharps cartridges. And it's got a wooden block that holds 20 cartridges. And that's usually used in conjunction with the pistol case. And then you got the choke collar that comes around the front, and that helps hold the weight of your saber and all the good stuff. So Cavalry rig is my number one Western gun holster. Hell, since I open carry and I pack a 45 Colt, this is one of the cheap Cabela's. It ain't cheap no more if you can even find it, but this was my all leather Cogburn belt, double loop Mexican style holster, 25 loops. And if I carry a 7-inch, I just stick a longer 3-loop holster or Dodge City holster, whatever I want on it. But your traditional cowboy gun belt is probably my second favorite. I'm not too much into the Hollywood Buscadero rings.
Okay,
All right,
well, Jeremy, just letting you know I'm back. So things should be better now. Let me know if you got
You're
me loud
coming
and
in a
clear.
lot clear.
Oh yeah, much muy caliente.
Good. Yeah. That. Sorry, Don. So you had a question for me, and I completely did not know what you said. So feel free to ask me again.
Somebody asked if we could call you Slick.
Oh.
Yeah, Dustin Weinecker was asking if we could just call you Slick because you're Slick Six Guns. Oh goodness gracious, that's a tongue twister. Especially after I've had a few cups of
So,
coffee.
do you prefer Slick or Mr. Six Guns?
Oh God. Okay. Just call me Slick. Just call me Slick. It's easy.
Well,
Yeah, don't call me Mr. Six Guns. That sounds too professional, and Slick just sounds a lot easier. I can tell you how I got that name, by the way. I gave it to myself, but I took the initials of my name and just thought of something that would be cowboy in a sense, and when I got into cowboy action shooting, you had to come up with an alias. And I was like, well, what cowboy related thing has an S in it? So Six Guns came to mind. And then don't tell anyone this, my mother was like, let's just call you Slick. And I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. That's great. So yes, my mother did name me twice. Yeah.
I've been named
anyway,
things
but
I
yeah,
won't
just
mention right now,
call
but
me
it's
Slick.
Six Guns is good.
So the other holster I was going to show there when Don came back in, this is my other favorite. And even though it's one of my favorites, it's for sale. This is a Marshall Walker holster that's based right out of a historical photograph. So
let me see if I can make you bigger. Let me see if I can perhaps do that. There we go. I figured it out. There you go.
So on this one, like I said, it's taken right out of a photograph from 1848. I had somebody, I posted this on some group, and somebody complained about the barrel sticking out the bottom. That's exactly how it looks in the photograph. The barrel sticks out the bottom. I don't know what the flap looks like on the front because the guy's got it tucked in behind his belt, so I had to take a little bit of creative license on this, and I basically just kind of styled it after later models. The strap, you can see that he's got this kind of a latch system for the strap, so I know it's just a piece of leather tucked in. But this one fits the Walker real good. Fits the Dragoons too. The Dragoon will actually come up, and muzzle will come right to the end of the holster. And then the belt loop I took a little liberty with as well because I don't know what the belt loop looked like, so I put just this real tight one. The only thing I got against these is that you got to take the gun out of them to get it on a belt. The nice thing about them is they're not going to move around and slide on you when you do. But if anybody's interested, this one's going for $80 if you want it.
Maybe after I get a Walker, I'll have you make me one if you don't have that one.
Okay. And normally I was going to go 90 on these, but this one kind of got beat up, marked up, and it's got a few problems, so I'm knocking it down a little bit.
Well, either way, I mean. All right, now let's make Slick so he can talk about his favorite kind of holster. Well,
let's see. I brought my typical gun belt, that I wear in cowboy action. Never mind the ginormous Bowie knife that is on there. It's ridiculously like 12 or 15 inches. I haven't measured it. But I actually have holsters from El Paso Saddlery. This is actually my first cowboy rig that I ever bought, and it's served me well over the years. It's got 24 loops on it, and the holster is the traditional on the actual belt holster. It's not a Buscadero rig or anything like that, but it's not a Mexican loop holster. It pretty much just goes up to the trigger and keeps it like that. But it's not a fast draw rig or anything. I actually do have a fast draw rig, but these have served me well, and I honestly prefer a strong side and a cross draw here. And mind you, this is actually a different holster, but I had to get it because when I first ordered this belt, I had 2 strong sides, and I decided, well, that didn't work for me in competition, so I needed a cross draw. I went down to Fredericksburg, Texas, and got this nice little holster here, which is a little bit harder to get the gun out of, but it fits my Ruger Vaqueros just fine, which are 5.5 inches. And the belt itself is extremely thick, but it's very soft. So when I put it on, I can bend just about every which way and not feel like I'm cutting myself in half, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty much it on that.
All right, well, I guess it's my turn. This is literally the only rig besides the one I made, but I like it a lot better because it holds both my rigs, both my guns. And I actually had this one styled after Smoke Jensen. Out of the Smoke Jensen books, he has, and in his, he only has 21 cartridge. So I got the 21 cartridges because he loads 5 in unless he has to go into combat. Then he pulls 2 out of his pocket and loads them in. So one thing is I gotta get another cartridge cylinder to do that to my other Remington. This one's done by Vaquero Leather. Yeah. And it cost me a pretty penny, but I mean, it holds both Remingtons in there tight. And I actually don't need the hammer thongs that's on them, but, but it holds both Remingtons. This is actually kind of heavy to get the guns on. The barrel stops here and right there, and I've got just my fingernail of leather over it hanging on mine. And it's a nice, tight, snug fit for both of them. And it's my favorite color. Now, and I'd probably be taking this one up, taking the cross draw one off when I go hunting, just because let's say you can only carry 1 pistol while hunting, and it has to be open carry. I don't know. There he is. I don't know what happened. But yeah, this is my favorite rig so far. I actually like it better than the holster I made. Just some of my dog trying to chew it up. Now, Doghouse had a good question. I'm gonna show that now and get y'all's opinion on it. For those who can't read, what about a good one to wear out hunting? Maybe not to beat you up, chest holster. What's y'all's opinion on that?
By chest holster, I assume he means shoulder holster, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it sits like right in the middle.
Yeah, there's also
Okay.
I think it's really personal preference. I mean, if you like the shoulder holsters, then and it depends on how you usually dress. Um, I've had the military GI shoulder holsters for 1911s. Um, I can't say anything good. I can't say anything bad. It's just really a preference. Now,
I'd,
I wouldn't go for your Dirty Harry style police type because those things are going to wrap beat around a lot. Me personally, if I do a shoulder holster, I like it to come straight across the front, more like so I can loop it into my belt, and that way it helps support my belt on one side as a preference. And I didn't mean to cut you off. Like,
No, you're good. I didn't mean to cut you off. I've never worn a chest holster or a shoulder holster for hunting, so I honestly can't give you a really good answer on that. I'd have to agree with you. It comes down to personal preference. I've always done a strong side holster, so that's my personal preference, if that means anything.
I've carried my pistol on my chest for one of my jobs, and if you're wearing bulk, it's good because if you have to go from your rifle and then have to drop it for some reason, this hand's right there to grab it. But the same logic, if you're trying to walk through brush and stuff, it can snag up and cause you to have to do different things, make more noise, and when you're out hunting, that can scare your quarry away. While a shoulder rig doesn't have to, and sometimes in some states you could even have it concealed, so they only think you've got it's. And yes, there's actually been stories about this last year in Arkansas. Someone trying to steal your game, they just think you've got the rifle and make you set the down, go to steal whatever you get. Hi. Surprise. I mean, but it's just I prefer it on my hip. Because usually I sit a lot like this. You know, I have my rifle on my lap, my hand sitting on my strong side, this hand's up here. Or right here where I'm reading a book. I hear something, I'll set my book down and I'll look, check my surroundings. If it's a squirrel or something, I just pick my book up and keep reading. It's just, and say it's a charging bore, I have my hand already on my pistol and just there, or grab my, it's just where I feel comfortable with it. Duke, are you even allowed to carry a pistol where you are hunting at?
I think if you got a concealed carry permit, Colorado gets really screwy. They got in trouble a couple of years ago for citing a guy for concealed carry while he was hunting because the state says it's totally illegal to do it. Then the hunting Division of Wildlife, Game Fish and Parks, whatever it is, said it wasn't. But I think as long as you got a permit on you, you can do it. But I don't carry a pistol with me when I'm hunting. I got a shotgun or usually a rifle or something, so I don't worry about it too much. We don't have anything down here really that dangerous except for mountain lions, and usually with a shotgun, if you shoot over the top of their head, they'll turn around and run.
Yeah. Yeah, but
boar country where I had a lot of boars at, I'd be carrying a 44 mag and my 40 Smith & Wesson.
And that's another thing. Where I go hunt at, there's boars and other things. So having a pistol makes sense. That's another thing. Does a pistol make sense on where you're hunting at? I mean, because that's extra weight you're having to trudge through the woods.
It was like today when I was hunting, I was carrying a 12-gauge shotgun. And I had a gallon and a half of water on my back, plus some of my other gear, calls, shotgun shells. I was probably carrying 50 pounds worth of gear, and had I gotten a bird, I'd be carrying another, whatever that is, 25, 30 pounds.
Somewhere
So
around
pistol, it's just that much more weight, and everything gets heavy after a while.
there. Yeah.
I think it's that. What is it? It's either Gods and Generals or Gettysburg. They say even after 100 miles, even a tin cup becomes a burden.
Yeah.
I'll have to agree with that.
I know a guy that hiked the Appalachian Trail and he carried a 38 Smith or a little special with him. And he said after about 400 miles, he was looking for a place to ditch that pistol to come back and get it later.
It's just, and also with the shoulder rig, if you're doing something like that, that probably, because it's not exactly putting a lot of weight on your hips or on your chest.
You're going to bear it on your shoulder. That's I think if you're going to find something negative about a shoulder chest rig, if you carry it, even if I wear a tack vest, which I don't wear a tack vest anymore. I've got one, but I don't wear it.
I refuse.
I always go cowboy for my handgun and my knife and all my stuff, because if I lose the vest, if I lose the rifle, I lose the vest because I don't need the ammo. Now I've got my waist belt, and that's got everything I need on it. If I lose that, then usually the knife could be on my pant belt. So it's whatever philosophy you kind of go with, but if you carry a shoulder or a chest rig, it's going to be on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's going to start cutting you after a while. That's going to become tedious on it. And the older you get, the more you start noticing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally, I prefer the hip gun, hip holster. Now, if I'm going to wear the tack vest, if I was going to wear the tack vest, I could stick a pistol down inside one of my magazine pouches. So the vest itself is actually carrying it on the chest. And that is a preference. I don't need to carry 6 magazines. I'm not walking into combat. So I can put my pistol mags in one of those mag pouches. I can put my pistol in the other one, stick candy bar in the next one to it, and whatever you want to do. But your preference, what you want to do.
Well, when you bring tack vests into it, they've got holsters that will attach to them. And that's what I had. That's where mine was, and it was annoying.
When you got a rifle, you're moving around, you're always bumping into it. You're beating the crap out of your rifle. You're beating the crap out of the gun. Anything up here is going to get in the way. If you put it down in the bottom, well, now you're dealing with that. And like I said, you're going to deal with the weight coming straight down off your shoulder or across yourself.
Yeah, but however you want to do it, I would strongly suggest before it's time to go hunting, go out the same distance you're gonna have to walk to your stand. Like, even if it's just the length of your backyard, put a weight of whatever you're carrying there. Put your gun wherever you want it, and put your gear on. Walk that and carry that weight a few hundred times, and then just kind of, because that way you kind of know what it is. You get used to it. Like, I've just been literally walking around my apartment with my gun belt on, just trying to break it in, get used to it, being there. Just loose, because it still squeaks. And I've oiled it and all that stuff, and it just needs to be broke in. It's leather, and
Well, before Texas had open carry, I used to wear my gun belt around the house. Just to break it in, I'd rub it down with saddle soap and kiwi mink oil. I try to get it soft and square it around the house. You can sit and watch TV with it on your body for 3 hours, and you can definitely stand it to go hunting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Family might think you're a little nuts, but my family knows I'm nuts. They just go with it.
Oh, you don't want.
I mean, I'm wearing my.
I could see how that conversation.
Right now, so I mean,
Well,
I
Don,
could only see how that conversation would go down at dinner.
Well, Don, you've been inside of my house. You see that we've got guns everywhere. They were just. There's one. There was one by the front door. That's actually where that one's supposed to be. It's right over there. That's where that one stays every day. It's like right over there, right by the front door. And that's because if someone tries to come in through that door, that pistol can come out real quick. And hi, you got a 45 in your face. And most people, and if you can't get it in the face, you can still club. That's like close to a little over 2 pounds.
So this is the rig I use for kind of my hunting thing. It's just a AR-15 chest rig. Use the pouches for different things, but I had a pistol holster, so it would sit right here. So this is one way you could carry a chest gun. If I didn't have my binoculars here in a map bag, I could stick it right there if I had to. That's one way to carry it as well. Mm-hmm. And it's not like it's hard to get to. I mean, it's right there. You just pull it out and you're good to go.
Yeah,
don't like about this big the holster that I have out here that I can't find what I did with it. Because that thing is so bulky and stands out so dang far, it gets caught on everything.
Yeah, I think we brought that up. It gets caught on things.
But if I wanted to, I could just stick it down here in a map pouch and, it's out of the way there.
Yeah.
I can still get it out and good to go.
I guess one other thing you'd have to ask yourself, if you're going to trip and fall and roll down a hill, do you want to roll down the hill with that gun digging into your ribs or your butt cheek?
I think I'd rather have it in the ribs, because if it's in my butt cheek, I might have a hard time walking out of there.
Well, if it breaks a rib, you might have a hard time walking out of there too.
Yeah, at least my butt will be hurt on the way out.
I carried mine there for so long. It should feel right now. It just doesn't. I just don't like the way it feels. I don't like all that, as you can say, tactical stuff. I just not my area of personal taste, I guess you could say. Anymore.
Well, I was career military long enough, and I don't do tactical anymore. I really like my cowboy. Even if I pack an AR-15, if I got a 20-round magazine in my back pocket and a 30-round mag in the gun, if I can't do it with 50 rounds, I should have probably not even went out in the woods.
Right?
I mean, in reality, if I walk out right now and I take my little Cogburn belt right here, snags everything. Now that's 25 rounds of 45 Colt. Since this is a non-transfer bar gun, I got 5 in it. If I take one of my 2 Vaqueros, I could carry 6, but that's 30 rounds. If I take the Rossi, I can get another 10 in it. That's 40 rounds of ammunition. So if I got 50 rounds of 5.56, I mean, I still got a 6-shooter and I still got 25 rounds in the belt.
Yeah. Doghouse said he was thinking about making a Kydex holster for the Walker, etc. I have never heard of the Kydex holster.
That's those molded fiber holsters that are like hard plastic when they're done.
Yeah.
That would really be non-traditional, but you know what? If you got somebody that'll do it, or you've got the means to do it yourself, I think that would be an awesome holster to hold your gun.
I would just make it at an angle and make it a cross draw, because if you try to do it straight up and down, you'll never get it out of the holster in time.
Well, that's the nice thing about doing Kydex, because you have the option. You can have it as a straight carry, or you can swivel it however you want. You could even carry the thing upside down and just basically pull it straight out and, Okay. Personally, I'm too much of a traditionalist to do Kydex for a Walker, but it's all preference and it's all what you want. I mean, I got a friend that, he got in some trouble. He can't own a modern firearm. And I said, why don't you go get you a double barrel muzzle loading shotgun? Yeah, but I don't want to go. Well, I don't want to go buy all the stuff to go with us. And we'll just get what you need to shoot it and get one of your wife's old purses or a book bag. It doesn't matter. You don't need to have the authentic. If you're not going for living history, there's nothing wrong with using modern holsters and modern stuff to carry all your toys with you to go shoot your gun. So I think a Kydex holster would be awesome because you could position that thing. You can do drop leg, you could do chest rig, you could do hip carry. You could rig that thing up to do whatever you want because all it is probably going to be 3 or 4 little screws on the back side of it to switch it out from the belt loop to whatever you want. Drop, you turn that belt loop sideways and hook it in with some Velcro. Now it's a drop leg holster. Now that walker might drag the ground next to your ankle, but I mean, however you want to do it.
Well, John, you should know I'm not 100% traditionalist. I have a side lock that has a plastic stock on it. But
if you're not doing Mountain Man rendezvous, so what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very accurate rifle, as you saw and shot. It'll hit what it's aiming at. I mean, it's just.
I mean, and leather's got its place. Kydex has got its place.
Yeah, it's just.
They've all got their places.
And honestly, if you're going hunting with it, I'd probably Kydex would probably be the way to go instead of traditional leather.
Leather's going to smell. It's going to give you away. You're going to have to be worried about the wind. Depending on how you're carrying the gun and if you're going to, well, I mean, face it, if you've got paper cartridges and you're not going traditional carry, yeah, water sealed plastic container is a whole lot better than a leather pouch.
Yeah, or alkaloid tins and plastic baggie. I mean, or just a little Ziploc bag. You can throw those in there, throw them in your pocket. I found an extra button in my pocket.
It's not going to smell. It's not going to creak. It's not going to rattle. It's not going to make any noise. It's going to be quiet. And you can use nylon attachments and just however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, that Kydex, because you're going to attach it to whatever carry system you got with a couple little screws that are going to go inside that body. You basically, if you don't want to have a shoulder rig with it today, you can change it out. Like I said, shoulder, drop leg, hip carry. You can have it upside down across your back, however you want to do it.
And it's not like cowboy action shooting or living history. You don't have to have it a certain way when you go hunting. It's literally your personal preference, how you want it.
And here's the thing. Now, when you say you've got a walker, you want a Kydex holster for it. Well, you go get a 45 Colt conversion kit for that with a loading gate, and now you're talking about 450 Brimstone. We're using the 460 Smith & Wesson brass cases and loading it with 50 grains of black powder and 300 grain bullets. I mean, that will draw. I mean, my God, when you think about 50 grains of 777 with a 300 grain bullet out of that Colt Walker with an 8-inch barrel, that is some knockdown power.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't mix up any smokeless 460 Magnum because you'll turn that gun into a hand grenade. But I'm just saying, that gives you a lot of options. And if you want to modernize that gun, you can do some amazing stuff with it.
Yeah, don't put 20 grains of Trail Boss in it. You won't have much of a gun left.
I think.
Well, you also got to consider that the cost as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, if that. For example, my leather cost me $500, maybe a little bit more, give or take. So, I mean, if he wants to get that kind of a holster, it might just be the reason that he can't afford a authentic one just because of his budget. But I go with what all you guys are saying. So
Yeah, or you
Right here. Yeah. Right. Whatever I said.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Duke sells pretty cheap holster leather. I just don't think you make the belts to go with them though.
No, I've only made one belt, which is for 45 Colt, and this one's supposed to go with my Mexican loop holster. And if I had a sewing machine, I'd make the leather belts, but I don't have a sewing machine, so I don't offer them.
It's
Yeah.
just,
I don't offer them yet. Let me put it that way.
yeah, it's just. I mean, for my rig, it was 400 on the mark. But mine, let's face it, mine's not. Mine's my holsters is a Slim Jim mixed with a single loop Mexican, I think it's called. Let me pull this one off. I can just get the holster.
Well,
Not a traditional holster. I mean, it's kind of a combination of two holsters. You know, it's not historically 100% accurate because, well, it's not. Let me make myself solo so everyone can see better. Yeah, it's got the Slim Jim body and then like a Mexican loop, I believe it's called, too, back. Or what is it?
Yeah, that would be that. If it's got a loop holding the body and there's a flap behind it, it's a Mexican loop. Whether the loop is two-piece or incorporated.
Well, it's got this kind of back. That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
Yeah,
100% sure.
that's still a Mexican loop. If it's got a loop that holds the body to the back panel, it's Mexican loop.
Okay. But also, but I mean, at the same time, it's got the Slim Jim. It doesn't have the traditional Mexican loop body that actually holds it together. You know, I mean, like this part.
Right. Yeah, but they still call that a Mexican loop holster.
Oh, they do? Okay. Well.
And I've got the Bible on holsters.
Okay. Well, it
Well-
didn't look like any that I had seen before, and when I did my research. So I mean,
They're a little bit later. You start seeing those towards the late 1800s. But once it goes from being a loop, and once that loop is actually like a pocket, then it's a pocket style.
okay. Yeah. See, this is why it's good to have friends that's been in this a long time, because I thought it was a combination, and I was corrected, and I'm actually happy I got corrected.
Did the young man state how much the Kydex holster was going to cost you?
Dog. Yeah. How much is it going to cost for you? But he said he could use MRE coffee bags to keep the powder, keep my powder dry as my powder dry bag. Yeah. And he says he's been using the Kato rounds and 40 grains. Yeah, that would.
Let me make a little point. Now, this is the double cylinder case I've had for 100 years. I think these are somewhere between $80 and $100 a piece.
Not anymore because they're not being. I actually got a hold of it. He does not make them anymore.
He does not make them.
He's retired because of his hands are gotten to.
Well, Caraco or somebody's still going to be doing cavalry equipment. You can find it out there, but you're going to pay about $100 for this case. Here's $1 for a soap dish, and they'll do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You want a whole paper cartridge. The difference is if the leather case is on your body when it's raining, it'll keep it dry. If you go swimming, it's going to get wet. This is pretty much going to keep it dry. So I just made me a couple of fresh ones here. Make the point. Once you get that walk and you get over about 40, 45 grains, anything more than that, you're just making a big ball of fire out in the air. So here's 30 grains of 3X GoX on a paper cartridge with a Johnson & Dale conical bullet dipped in beeswax. Now that is about a 45 ACP out of an 1860 Army or a Walker. And if you make the paper cartridge bigger and you bump that up to about 45, maybe about 45 grains in a percussion cylinder, 50 grains in a case, if you had a conversion, probably about max. But you make me some paper wraps, and I have a hard time trying to zero in on my camera here. This is just 6 cartridges. And I wrapped them up. I got a little label that I made from a bunch of other labels. This one is made out of 2 pieces of styrofoam from the cartridge tray in it from a 45 ACP. I've got some that I cut wooden blocks and drilled 6 holes into. So I mean, you probably can't find them. No, I take a piece of straw, I hold it with a pair of pliers, and I burn the end, and then I put 6 caps in it, and I hold it with needle nose, and I burn the end, and that makes a waterproof cap holder to hold caps. You burn it shut. Well, you can stick it down inside here, or basically, you take your soap dish, put your caps in there. Now you got 6 waterproof cartridges to go do pretty much whatever you want to do. And it costs you $1. So, I mean, if you want to be authentic and you want to have living history, it's a hobby like any other hobby. You got to spend money for it. But if you just want to carry stuff in it, go down to the dollar store.
Or you could do, if you want to be historical about it, you could just take a belt that's a little loose, stuff it in there. That was the common carry of it for a while before holsters became popular, was just stuffing it into a belt. Or
The problem with that is when you're dealing with a loaded gun with caps on it and everything, if that sucker goes off, you don't want to blow a hole in your hip. If you bend over and it starts sliding out of your belt, hits the ground, goes off, I would just say, if you're going to carry your gun in a holster. So
yeah.
It's secure.
Well,
And
if you
carrying it in a belt, and if you don't cinch that thing down tight, it's just like Don said, you go to bend over, you get to walking a lot, and it'll work itself out. But I've cinched them down tight, and yeah, they don't move. But then, when you take it off, you got a freaking mark on your hip where it sit there all day.
well, also I feel like if you wanted living history, I did a little bit of it myself, and that's because the guy couldn't afford holster, but he had a belt. You just stuffed it in that, and reverse draw, cavalry draw style, and just stuff them in there.
Yeah,
But
Wild Bill Hickok carried him in a sash a lot more than he carried him in a holster.
Yeah, I mean, he also was just standing around, wasn't doing a lot, so he was able to take them out from time to time, and he was supposed to walk around with, play the town drunk, so he had deactivated caps on his, so it didn't.
If you look at some historical photographs from the cowboy era, there's a lot of pictures of cowboys that's just got a 45 Colt stuck in their chaps.
Yeah, I mean, there are other holsters are a great thing to holster, but if you're doing some historical things and you just starting out, there are some places they'll kind of let you have a little leeway, but they're gonna make sure it's unloaded. A lot of times, and they're not gonna give you parts where you have to have a loaded gun, loaded with blanks.
Yeah, well, blank is still off if you
Yeah,
don't pay attention where you're pointing it.
yeah, it's still it's dangerous, but it still also doesn't have a 200 or it doesn't have like as bad of a consequence if one of these accidentally went off.
Yeah,
I'm going to make
say
one suggestion. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I got you. You go.
it's all good. No, I'd say just from the cowboy action perspective and the fast draw perspective, they even though that is historically correct, just for safety reasons, they want everyone to have them in a belt of some kind, just for safety. So, like you said, Jeremy, it depends on what you're doing. If you're just sitting around, you're not at something that won't correct you on that kind of a thing. You can wear them however you want, but they're definitely if you're trying to be a competitive shooter, they're going to want you to have them in a holster.
Yeah,
no matter what. Either that or they're off your body.
Yeah, or you're at like a little, or like you've got like one that's Duke's got, like a little belly gun, and you're sitting at a poker table all day. They traditionally, if I'm not mistaken, those are just stuffed in the pants where they couldn't be seen.
And these will fit in a pocket in a pair of Wrangler jeans.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got it, but most of the times they make you load. I think it's true, and even cowboy, you can only have 5 loaded cylinders in historical, a lot of historical stuff, it's 5 blanks.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so you've only, I mean, so you've got a little bit of extra measure of safety.
And loading them with 5 is very historically accurate because there's somewhere I've seen there's an Army ordinance letter that talks about the Colts not being able to be reliably put on the safety notch without having them accidentally discharge if dropped. And so right from the get-go, when they were adopted into the military, they were loaded with 5.
Loaded 5, and then I think when after those 5 were shot, they loaded them up with 6 because they were,
Yeah,
If
I
they-
combat you with 6, but on the ride, it's only 5.
Yeah, but after the fighting happened, or a gun, from few historical accounts of gunfighter, shootist, not gunfighters, that I have read, that they would carry 5 in the pistol, but when they knew they were about to get into trouble, they would load that 6th one because their gut feeling. But
If you think you're gonna scrap, load 6.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
That makes sense. I mean, if you're riding around, if that pistol falls out of the holster and it falls down and hits the ground, guess what?
boom.
If you're going to town, you're going to be carrying 5. If it looks like you got Comancheros up on the ridge, you're going to be loading 6.
Yeah, you're gonna go.
Because if you read about when they first adopted the Walker, the Texas Rangers used those during the Mexican War. Back then, they loaded all 6 and the hammer was down on a live cap. And they talk about a Texas Ranger being killed from an accidental discharge because his pistol falls, hits the ground, goes off, and the bullet comes up his leg and kills him.
It happens. It just
And
But,
that's probably even during the Ranger when they were still using the Pattersons. They've talked about Rangers dropping their gun and the gun going off and injuring them because they're carrying it with a full load, full house.
and even when they were using those single shots, if I'm not mistaken, there was accounts of like a lot of militaries where that would happen. They would drop it, but because they had one shot, they have to keep it loaded. It fell, it kind of went boom, and somebody died.
Well, if you look at the equipment like the Dragoon holsters and stuff, they were very specific in the way they built their attack and their gear. So if it went off, it would go straight down to the ground. It wouldn't go into your knee or into your thigh or anything.
Right.
So I
Another
did
reason for the cavalry drop.
probably for like 23 years. And I can tell you that most events would require you, if you carried a pistol, you were required to have a holster for it. Now, we were notorious back in the day of sticking pistols down in our boots. There's nothing to go right out there and have 2 or 3 Colt Navy stuck down inside your cavalry boots. They fit kind of tight on your leg and they were snug. But if you got caught, they kicked you off the field in a lot of events. So you were required to have a holster. Now, I got one thing to say because I'm a cheap tightwad. And you can go with this. Now, this is the Schofield holster. And since y'all had all your toys out and I started bringing mine, I added this little piece of belt. And I put the concho up here inside the thing so that way I can extend this because this is my old model Ruger Vaquero. And it's got a stretch cylinder in it. So unless you just stretch this really, really good, you're not going to get this flap to shut on this holster. But there's a point that I'm going to make to this. This is my 1860 Pieta. This is the open top. It's got the same 8-inch barrel on it. It doesn't fit real tight in there, but with the extension, it'll close. The Vaquero, it'll drop in here like a glove. 5.5, 7.5. The new models and your Colt, it fits them like a glove. Now here's my point. Colt New Service. You get the Smith & Wesson model 1917s. I bought one holster and it'll fit every single revolver. The only thing this doesn't fit is a 1911. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to have an entire collection of holsters, Get you one good, like a Civil War flap holster or a Schofield holster, and it'll literally fit every gun you own. And you can, if you don't want the flap leather, you want to go cowboy, this is what they did after the Civil War. They just cut the flaps off. And that's where your Slim Jim holsters kind of came into being.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one option you can get. If it doesn't fit your gun that good, wrap your gun up in a bread bag or a Ziploc, stick it in the sink with hot, warm water, get it nice and soft, stick that gun in there with that plastic wrap around it, put it out on the porch or something where the sun can hit it and dry it out, and it'll shrink to fit, and it'll be just like a glove.
I use this. This right here. A couple layers of this. I use it, put it on there tight so it forms it tight. It gives a nice tight forming, and it fits everything just right. But it keeps the leather from touching the metal and the metal from touching the leather.
Yeah, I still douse mine with rim oil before I ever do anything like that.
I was actually out of rim oil this
Except for when I wet molded for my semi-auto that I was showing earlier, because I made a little pocket holster for that, just something to cover it so I didn't get anything in the muzzle or hit the trigger guard, or hit the trigger with it. But when I wet molded, I didn't put anything on that because it's got a stainless steel slide. I think everything in that is stainless steel, if it ain't plastic.
Leather is, I'm gonna say this, leather is very, very versatile. I mean,
It is.
But
It's a wonderful thing.
well, at the same time, it has its limits.
Well, there's some truth to that. I wouldn't use a leather for an everyday carry on the belt unless, I wouldn't use a cheap one. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pictures, where the guys, they get them and they're nice and stiff when you first get them, but after years of use, they start getting soft. And there's a picture on the internet of a guy that shot himself in the ass because he went to stick a Glock down in a leather holster, and that little strap that come up across the back, well, it's got enough stiffness in it, that it can touch the trigger and set it off, but, enough give that it was able to flop in there in the first place. And yeah, the guy went to put it in his holster, finger off trigger, bang, blew a trench right down his ass.
Well, and that's also where maintenance come in. I mean, good holster maintenance. I mean, you gotta.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just with use. It doesn't matter if you maintain it. The more you use that leather, it's going to become soft eventually. It's going to break down. Unless you take the proper measures. Like I've made one pancake holster for 1911. And what I did to make sure that doesn't happen is I've actually got two extra layers of leather around the curve on that so that it doesn't ever collapse in and do that. And then up there on the straps that come up, those are actually double layered. So they should never, in theory, ever bend down to where they could get caught in the trigger guard.
And also, pay attention. I mean, when I go put those in, I watch. I mean, make sure there's nothing in the way. Just usually when I put that cartridge converted one, I have these in it. I mean, and I don't want to shoot myself in the ass or the leg. I gotta work.
They give you an extra butt crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
the way I mitigate that is I don't have one in the chamber.
Well,
There you go.
I guess I'm a little different. I know a lot of people are like, you got to stay one step ahead of somebody who might pull a gun on you. I guess I just operate under that kind of rule, like the whole 5 instead of 6. It's just you're not any good. You're not going to protect your life anymore if you're going to hurt yourself in the process. So that's just. So I carry it without one in the chamber. I just make sure that I have a magazine, and it takes me 2 seconds to rack the slide, or it takes me a second to pull that trigger to make sure the cylinder rotates, and I'm good. So
Either that, or you carry a double action, hammer strike pistol that's got a safety let down on the hammer, like on those Berettas, where you can let the hammer down without it going off. And then you pull it out and pull the trigger. That way, it's not like those Glocks that are, once the round is in the chamber, that thing is ready to go all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard as those guns age, those safeties have been known to fail. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it.
With poor gun maintenance, any gun can fail.
Yeah.
And, my grandfather brought his back from World War II. His Colt 1911, but it's a Remington model 1911, contract model, but 1911. I can go get it out of the lockbox I have it in, load it up with 45 ACP, take it out, shoot it, clean it, put it back. It runs the same as when he had it in the 1940s as it does today. I just don't take it out and shoot it very often. But every month I go get it out of the safety deposit box. I bring it to my house. I clean it. I oil it. I check for any part damage, any rust. I go over a lot of things. I make sure that thing is white glove clean. I mean, it is. And then I take it up back up there, put it up. If there's any part that even looks like it's about to fall apart, I replace it.
Well, I know a guy that had a full auto 1911. It's because he never cleaned the damn thing and he kept using petroleum grease on it, and that shit finally kicked up around the firing pin one day, and the firing pin was stuck in the forward position, and when he racked the slide, 7 rounds went down range. So god dang fast, he couldn't even blink. And he looked at me like, what the hell, what caused that? And I said, yeah, it's because all that grease you put on there and you never cleaned the damn thing.
Oh yeah, you got
that thing apart. There was so much grease caked around that firing pin that even if it had been functioning normal, I don't think it would have fired because that firing pin couldn't have moved. Cold day, just packed full of grease.
It's just.
I know people that clean their service pistols with diesel because it's basically oil based. It cleans and it lubricates, and if that's all you got, it'll work. I've seen them pour transmission fluid on an M60 machine gun, but I've never used GAA and I've never used petroleum jelly.
Well, I think it was Molly 30 is what he was using. And you've seen the Moes and the Gaunts when they come out of the crate and they're still wrapped in the paper. It looked like somebody that had a cold and blew snot all over the damn thing, and that's what this looked like on the inside. I mean, you couldn't move that firing pin. I actually had to get push it out to get it.
Yeah, it preserves. It doesn't lubricate.
No, it does not. Not when it's 20 below, anyway.
Jeez.
That's kind of like trying to put Crisco in your cylinders in the wintertime and going out in the summertime, you just kind of pour it on there.
Yeah. I've been trying to work on that mix, and I keep adding more and more beeswax. I think I'm up to 96% beeswax and 4% lamb tallow, and the shit still melts off and won't stay on the cylinders when it's 110 degrees.
Well,
Damn.
One of the guys from my group mentioned the fact that I shouldn't use bacon grease in my beeswax because it's got a lot of salt content in it and it'll eventually rust the gun. But, I don't usually leave them loaded that long to really worry about it. And now, okay, my world famous Pieta now, since I got 7,100 and something members and they're all over the world, everybody knows this gun. Everybody's seen me shoot 1.5 pieces of cow poop at 35 yards with it while holding a smartphone. They've also seen me beat this thing apart with steel hammers, and when it gets clogged up, they've seen me stick this in a muddy pond water to break the powder loose. I showed this gun. I show absolutely no mercy. I stripped it down. I held it over a pot of boiling vinegar to heavy patina finish it. Stripped the grips down. It's all boar butter, bacon grease, natural. I do everything in the world I can the wrong way to this gun, just to see how many decades. And you know what? It still shoots as good as it did the day of the first. It shoots better now than it did the first day I bought it.
Don, I'm doing the same thing with this Remington basically because the first day I got it, broke. On a Hornady round ball that I bought because I didn't have the mold yet, and the mold's gonna take another week to get here, and I wanted to shoot it. And there was a box of Hornady round balls, brand new at the gun store. So this is my beat 'em up gun. And for a while, this other one was nice, but the one I got off you, and then I dropped it. But here's the thing: I'm gonna get a brass taller front sight, and use it for competition shooting. But we were talking about cleaning smokeless guns. I have never had a problem with using. If every time I tried something else, it doesn't work. I use this stuff right here.
That stuff works so good. I'm surprised they still make it.
I know, right? My grandfather used it. His dad used it. I use it. I mean, it just works. Shoot, my mother's used it.
Yeah, I like Hoppies. Quite frankly, I don't really use it anymore. I actually have several different methods, but I don't have any one particular method. I actually use more of a break free and Simple Green to do it.
Simple Green does some amazing stuff. You put that one in. A friend of mine told me about. You put Simple Green in those Sonic cleaners or whatever. You can just watch the black carbon just come right off of it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
My boss was he got a Sharp similar to the one I had, but it's 5095, I believe it was. What he got, or 5100, something like that. It's the cartridge version, but black powder. And I was helping him sight it in because he saw pictures of mine, he saw videos, and he wanted one, and he had the money, so he bought one. And he had a bucket of water, and he threw a cap full of Simple Green in there. Just threw his shells in there, and that black powder just come right off that brass.
OxyClean will do the same thing too. Yeah.
Just,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean,
yep.
And then he put a lid over the top, and we had to go over gravel road. He stuck in the back of his truck, put a bungee cord around it. We drove, and it kind of sonic, just that shaking of it on the dirt, that gravel road. Got the rest of it clean. Came home, he rinsed it all off, let it dry, and it was good to go.
Well, if you want to clean a gun, and some people may disagree, they may not. Hot soapy dishwater will clean anything.
Oh yeah,
and the raw metal. If you kind of feel expedient, the two things that will clean a smokeless weapon, and then, when you're talking about having to clean 15 M16s and 3 machine guns, non-chlorinated brake parts cleaner does amazing things. So does Barbasol shaving cream and hot water. It'll strip it down to, bits and pieces of blued metal.
Oh yeah.
Clean it out. And if you're talking black powder, then probably the two best things is just I've seen people pour hot coffee down muskets because it's just hot water. But any hot liquid is going to take out the black powder. And if you really want to clean it good, just put a cork over your cap or the flash hole and fill it full of hydrogen peroxide. Put a cork on the barrel and just hold it, and it'll cook every bit right down to the edge of the muzzle. And it'll come out spotless every time. Just make sure you flush it out with warm water, get it dry, and then lube it back up. And my personal favorite for smoke, now not the internals of AR-15s, but like modern bolt actions, lever actions. I'm a big fan of mixing 3-in-1 oil and 4 butter. I just put it on the paint and just brush it on there, wipe it off. A lot of your Remington guns with the Parkerized finishes, if you touch it and come back the next day, there'll be an orange rusty fingerprint right there where you touched it. 4 butter and 3-in-1 oil, Not a problem. Set it someplace warm where the heat will expand and open the pores. It'll suck it right in.
Hmm.
But when I clean
Yeah.
it goes to the kitchen sink, and I just let the water run right down on top of the holes. I'll get a Q-tip. It takes me one Q-tip to do a cylinder because I'll get it first and I'll flip it over the other side, and I'll just get like I said, a paintbrush with some long bristles. When I get down inside there, boil butter it back up. It's good to go. And with hot soapy water and a plastic toothbrush. My bullets, I don't usually lead up the barrel too good. So I very rarely ever use a copper brush on my bore. I just use plastic.
My brother's got one of those. I gave my
And this one, that's what I use on my bore. And they come out spotless like mirrors.
brother's got one of those inline pistols. He takes a piece of cork, sticks in the back. He's got a twist out breech. Sticks a cork into it, pours hot mixture of hot soapy water and a cap full of hydrogen peroxide down the barrel and just let it cook itself out. Just standing straight up. Then he'll come back like 20 minutes later, dump that out, rinse it out, take that cork out, let it all just sit there and let it run until it's clean, works. He's actually getting pretty good with that single shot pistol I gave him.
As long as you got some good pour butter or some kind of good tallow grease or something. I mean, like the old saying, where's Hank at? He's down by the river cleaning his pistol. Down there with a coffee cup and some river water.
Yeah, I usually get a hog a year. I take the fat off of that and I render it down to fat, to tallow. And that's what I use in my boar butter or squirrel meat, deer, like deer fat renderings, just wild game meat. Just whatever is off that meat. Just throw it into a glass jar, stick in the fridge. Then when I need some lubrication, make some beeswax, half and half it, and it's worked so far. I mean, I could probably just use. I've tried vegetable oil and beeswax mix. Worked pretty good during the summertime, not during the too good during the wintertime. It was too hard. Crisco and beeswax, good during the wintertime, shitty during the summertime. I tried 50, 25, 25 of Crisco, beeswax, and vegetable oil. Was okay as long as it didn't get below 32 and didn't get above 90. But then I started trying that, and that's what I've been using. That's what I was using when you came down, Don, and it was like near the hundreds when you came down.
It's pretty doggone hot. I know that.
Yeah, I actually got heat sick that day, and it didn't melt none. It was soft, but it didn't get melty. It didn't run nothing.
This is the same batch that I think I had out there, and I just used my pocket knife to scoop it a little bit, push it down over the caps. That's 80% beeswax and just basically bacon tallow from the frying pan. The reason it looks all pretty now is because when I made this last batch of bullets, I just set it on my stove, and I just let it take its time, and I'll melt it down. I didn't even burn the finish off the can. I didn't get it that hot. But I get it where it melts, and I'll just take my bullet and I'll dip it down in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a simple little tin that you pick up at I don't know what's that Bed Bath and Beyond where they got the little fruit flavored candle candies, or I don't even some kind of
Beyond me there.
mixed fruit drops. Wherever in the name of all that's holy that we got this from, it's just a nice little tin can.
I'm gonna get me one. I got a coffee pot that doesn't have the glass part. I'm gonna use that as a warmer to heat up my wax, my lube, so I can. Doop, doop, doop. It'll take it about a good 30 minutes to get warm, but it's not gonna take the stuff off, the outside stuff on it. It's gonna be a nice even heat. And just once it gets hot, it's going to stay hot for a while.
Here, you guys got me all beat. I'm the guy that's using just Crisco, and back when I didn't know Crisco exists, I was using Vaseline.
Back in the old time, okay, for me, being an old timer, my old timers used to use Kleenexes and Vaseline to stuff down in over the powder to make blanks with. Of course, you're shooting a wad with Vaseline at other people and horses, but when we made our blanks, you just put your powder in. You just put your powder charge in. It doesn't have to even, I think 15 grains is all I used to load. But then you just pour cream of wheat down the end of the barrel, and as you rotate it, you just keep packing it until it doesn't pack anymore. So it goes in there like concrete, but when you shoot it, it just sprays out. So if you're more than 5 or 6 feet away, it's not going to hurt you. Don't use Multi-Mill, because Multi-Mill's got those great big black chunks or whatever in it, and that stuff is sticking to your skin at 10 feet. Ask me how I know.
Well, how do you know?
I was digging it out of my face. How do you think I know? Now, this is my tinderbox. I know we're not talking about tinderbox. We're talking about cans. If you just throw your can in the fire, it'll burn everything off of it, and this is what it's going to look like. And since I mentioned it, I haven't charred it yet. But basically, when you make char cloth, you just throw the cloth in the can, and if you can see the hole right there, there you go. Now you can see the hole. Poke a little hole in the top of it, and you just throw this whole thing inside the a fire. You could put it on a burner, put it in a barbecue grill, but if you make a little fire someplace, throw the whole can in it, and you'll burn all the gas and chemicals out of that fabric, and all you'll have left is the charred cloth. So when you take your flint and steel, which is basically just a piece of steel, and you hold a piece of that cloth in your hand right here, and as you hit it, the spark comes off, goes directly on the cloth. When it hits it, it catches it. You blow it, it gets really hot, and if you got like leaves or grass down here below the char, then you just fold that over there, blow on it, and it bursts into flames. So that's how you make fire with flint and steel. For those who didn't know, different subject, but just keep your little oil brush handy and just oil your can after you get done cooking it, and it'll be fine.
Good to know.
I didn't put any gun blue or nothing. This is just natural oxidized blue, and the only thing you got to do to keep it from rusting is just put some gun oil on it, pour butter or whatever you want to do. But this is my fire starting kit for flint and steel. And I like the shoe polish cans because with all the abuse that these things take, you got the little twister right here that you can open it up with.
Here's my fire starter for flint and steel right here. Even if it's out of whatever they use, take a piece of metal off, it'll spark. As long as there's flint in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a couple different fire starters. I got steel. I got fire piston, lighter. I got a plasma lighter on the way in.
Yeah,
I got this at Walden's Books in the steampunk area. It's just a little necklace with a magnifying glass on it, like a monocle, and you can start the crap out of a fire with that pretty good too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And if you run out of cloth, like char cloth, you can actually take little slips of wood and char wood inside that can too, and then you'll have charred wood, and it'll work the same way as the cloth.
Doghouse says that Hovey Smith with the cream of wheat. Love that guy. Yeah, he does some pretty good videos. I have to admit, he does some pretty good videos. Someone was I can't remember who, but sent me a message on Facebook and asked why don't I ever invite Mike Bellevue onto one of these? Because he lives on the East Coast. I live in the middle of this country. He'd be about an hour or two ahead of me. So by the time this even started, it'd probably be his bedtime.
Yeah, it would be midnight right now.
Yes. So it'd be
Yeah.
kind of. So maybe one day I'll talk to him. See if he's even interested. Doing one, and then maybe I can do a special because he's also a wealth of knowledge. I'd love to sit down and talk with him as well and pick
Oh,
his
yeah.
brain.
He's.
About
I don't even know how long he's been on YouTube. I think he's been on YouTube since before I was born. So.
2006.
Yeah,
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, he's been on since the other days, but I think he's been writing like books and magazine articles and stuff since the early '80s. I think.
Yeah.
I want to say the 80s. He did a little autobiography one time. I can't remember if it was in a magazine where I read it or if he talked about it on a video, but when he first got into writing, I think he bought one cap and ball pistol and he wrote a thing about it. And then it kind of came down, and I may be completely wrong, but I think he was talking about he had the choice to either go buy food or buy a cap and ball pistol to write an article and stuff about. So he
Yeah.
bought a pistol to write about it and hoped he'd get money from the article to get food.
Yeah, that was the Ultimate Remington. He had a video on that.
Yeah, I think it was. Not sure. But yeah, like I said, because I think he's been doing it longer than probably all four of us combined. Like dealing with
Yeah.
it.
Can tell you here in just a few seconds.
I think he's been around since the resurgence of black powder.
See, the first video put up was on reloading 4570, and he loaded that up in March 1st, 2011.
Well, remember he's had a bunch of videos took down too.
No, that is his first video.
Oh, it is.
Okay. All right.
But still, that's what 8 years on YouTube.
Yep, he's been on there for 8 years.
No, a little.
Yeah.
Well,
It was on my plans when I was making my little road trip back east. I was really wanting to shoot with Mike, but it was 4th of July weekend. He had family come up and just everything, and it just really didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get noises from the back of the Blazer, which we recently found out was the brake shoe coming through the brake drum. So But I put 4,000 miles on that Blazer in 8 days because I went to see Joan in Mississippi, and then coming up, I went to see Jim, and I missed out seeing. If you're in my group, you know pretty much the people I'm talking about. But I got to see about half the people that I wanted to. I did get to shoot with Mark Humphreys, and I really enjoyed that. The Black Powder Maniac.
yeah,
That was fun.
Yeah. I actually just recently subscribed to his channel. Yeah, at least he answers his comments. That's one of the things I like about him. But he's the guy where I actually got the inspiration to do a video on round balls. So he's like one of the top ranked for that. So yeah, I think he's a pretty good knowledge space.
Mark is a real smart guy, and they don't come any nicer than Mark.
Hello, my name is.
I mean, Mark,
Somebody's watching.
Yeah, I was just looking at your channel. I just realized I'd never heard of your channel before.
Oh, yeah, Slick Six Guns Network. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
and I don't have a network. I just got my Facebook group, so
yeah.
all my movies pretty
Well,
much.
hey, Don, you got more followers than I do, so I wouldn't
You know
be.
what? Slick,
Wouldn't be
my
hating on that.
follow- hey, look, you post to my group, and my followers are your followers. That's all 7,140 of them, whatever I got these days.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
And you know that I think that's the success of my group is because I just tell you straight up. Keep it cowboy, modern and historical. Post whatever you want. Just post whatever you want. I started the beer joint topics and cowboy values as a side group because we post more adult humor that we typically. It's borderline family friendly at best. We keep that separate. And then I've got this by the same name, All Things Cowboy, Trade Blanket. And if any of you are on that one, that's where Vaquero gun leather. I've got you can buy hats, you can buy gun leather, handmade spurs. I've seen horses, livestock, trucks and trailers. Now, is this tied into Facebook?
Not really. I've shared it so people can see it, but that's about it.
Okay, so if you are anything, this is the thing. This is the trick to like the Facebook. You cannot sell firearms of any type on Facebook. So when you come on the trade, now I do not allow this on the main discussion group because that's 7,000 people. I don't want to break that group. But if you'll notice, it's All Things Cowboy, Trade Blanket Volume 1 because I expected it to be taken down. So anything, the definition of a trade blanket is when you put you go to Mountain Man Rendezvous, you come down, you buy, sell, and trade your goods and your gear. And, if you ran across Hatchet Jack and Jim Bridgers has already got his 50 cal, but his tomahawk was frozen to his belt underneath his butt, and you rolled him over and got it. You put your blanket down, you put the tomahawk on it. If it's on the blanket, it's for sale or trade. So if a TC Hawken 50 caliber rifle shows up on the trade blanket, you cannot say, got this TC Hawken for sale. You can just say, I got this TC Hawken and I just ran out of room in my gun safe and I don't have any room on the gun rack either. Can somebody give me some advice on what I can do with this thing? Then it's PM, and I'm not going to say I've sold a few black powder guns off the trade blanket, but it is a means to an end because you haven't actually posted it for sale.
Well, don't get me started on frickin' Facebook marketplaces because I tried to post some of my holsters on the All Things Cowboy Trade Blanket, and fucking Facebook flagged them and took them down.
You cannot put them for sale; just post them.
Yeah, I thought because I was posting just the gun leather, and I thought I could post, but it had the word gun in it, so I was like,
just Western.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm going to tell you straight up, I didn't take that down, and none of my admins took that down. Facebook had to take that down.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I tried to appeal it, and they appealed it for like 2 days, and they said, no, there's a gun in this holster. We can't allow that. It's like, it clearly says on there, the gun is not for sale. I ain't selling the gun. It's for demonstration.
Don't say that. Don't even say it. If I wanted to sell this gun belt, and I put it on the trade blanket, and I stick it up there just like this, kind of getting tired of my old trusty gun belt. I've had it for 15 years. Think it's about time to get a new one. Anybody know what I should do with the old one? Somebody says, send it to me.
Now,
Give them back. And says, yeah, there's a squirrel collecting nuts. If he's got 150 nuts, you can get the holster,
Now, just a question, Don. I got to ask you this because I know every time I'm on your group, somebody it cracks me up. I laugh because you're like, I'm going to drop the band hammer. Okay.
Yeah. I got that from Black Powder Revolver Enthusiast. Band hammer.
Okay. Well, I have to ask, how many moderators do you have for that channel or that group? Is it just you?
No, I was the only admin moderator for the first 3,000 people. Then
Okay.
I added Joan,
So
Tracy Helper, and Jim Thoma.
And then you added me.
okay.
And then I added Ben Foley because he's on the other side of the planet. So when I'm asleep, he's awake. And I wanted to add
Okay.
Catherine, but I didn't really want to. I didn't want to intrude in. I didn't want to intrude and impede on her because I know she's got a lot of stuff going on. And if you know who Catherine is on my group, she's a 70-year-old grandmother who probably knows more about guns and gunsmithing than all four of us put together. She's a very, very knowledgeable person. Very good at what she
Yeah.
does. A true
Well-
wealth of knowledge.
You also added me
Well, I
as
just
an admin, not an admin, moderator.
yeah. I just wanted to ask because I know that on my group I run in probably once or twice a week. I'll run into someone doing something that violates the rules. So I can only imagine how many people on your group are like doing that and how you're probably beating your head against the wall.
You know, the only people that I got a little bit, and you know, I did that one video where I had my Keltec RDB across my thing, and I'm like, okay, look, this is a modern centerfire firearm, semi-automatic. And then I held up my 6-shooter and says, this is a 45 Colt, modern centerfire 45 Colt, blah, 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 you know. And I came up
Yeah.
with, I don't want to see any more bubble-headed bimbos with guns and that don't even know which end of the gun the bullet comes out of in bikinis posted on this group. Or I'm going to slam the band hammer on your post and you. So, I mean, it's like, you know, and for those of you who are not in my group, I got one simple rule. You can talk about your musket, your lever action, and your AR-15. Now, you can post any musket, any flintlock, any cowboy gun, lever action, 6-shooter, it doesn't matter. We love to see them all. But if you put AR-15s and AKs on there, it's either somebody who's controlling varmints, coyotes, eradicating hogs, or you're shooting your gun doing your thing on it. That's my rule for modern guns because it's all things cowboy, modern, historic. But I don't need any bubble-headed bimbos who don't even know what end the gun the bullet comes out of in a bikini pissing off these 4,000 women on my group. So, I mean, you know.
I think I've only had to ban one person in my short tenure as an admin. That's because they try to put something up for sale. And I asked them, said, hey, could you – I did first did NP and said, hey, your post came up as a for sale. Could you fix it? No response. So I went into the comment section, tagged them in it, and said, hey, this shows up for sale. Yeah, this is your second warning. Fix it, or you and your stuff is gone. No third warning, no third strike. This is not baseball.
Well, when I got over 6,000 members, I got a little bit okay, if you get kicked out of my group, you really messed up. I don't kick people out of my group. I think the first 3,500 members, I kicked out 2 people, and that's because they're using racial slurs. And I even said, look, we don't, you know, hospitality is our way. You can't, you know, put down somebody's religion, their race, or creed or color. You know, you can't do that. And then the next thing I see is the N-word, this and something like a ban hammer, you're done. You know, I think I went through 4,000 members and had only 7 people kicked out of my group. I think I'm up to like 20 or 30 now. And it's mainly if you are selling guns on my group, you're going to get kicked out because that means you're probably a troll and you're doing it to get me shut down anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think a lot of the other admins are the same way. We'll try to give you a warning. Hey, you know, because sometimes Facebook, you post a picture up and they'll change it to a for sale thing. It's happened to me, and I didn't notice it. And I think you or one of the other admins said, hey, this is for sale. I'm like, oh, shows up for sale. Send me a PM and said, hey, your post showed up for sale. I'm like, oh, crap, let me fix it.
I got banned for 30 days because I posted a Savage Axis left-handed, and it came up. Facebook is the one who changed it to a for sale ad. and I couldn't make it go, and I let it stay. And bam, I got 30 days for it.
Yeah, I had to take I deleted the post and then repost. Did what I was trying to do, and I watched to make sure it didn't change. I'm pulling it up, making sure.
Yeah, I don't cuss people very often anymore, but I did another post and they did the same thing to me again. And I went into the response thing. I called them every four-letter name in the book. Facebook fascist FAGG. Next time you want to change my post, go F your. I cussed them and then they stopped. But they come about 3 times a week now and say that my session has expired and I need to log in again.
Oh, God.
I still ain't figured out if they like my passwords, fascist book faggots. That's my.
Hey, you know what's really?
That wasn't the F
you know
word
what's
I was
really
thinking
funny?
of, but
Well, you know what's really funny is I got banned. From Facebook because I started posting, and this is no secret. I post to everybody's group. I'm sorry. I don't mean to spam, but I do. I started posting to groups that were
my group, by the way. You
Say
expand your
again?
my group. That's why everybody likes us.
Yeah, I started posting to Red Dead Redemption 2 groups because that game came out. I was like, oh my God, these people will be into it. As soon as I started posting in one of those groups, I got banned instantly. I was like, fuck, guys, really? I'm sorry. I don't mean to swear. I shouldn't.
This is not a PG show. If there's any kids up at this hour, they don't need to be watching me.
yeah, if there's kids up this hour, get your fucking asses to bed, goddammit.
You apparently haven't watched when we're Santees on here.
We start talking about pubic hair and all that other kind of stuff.
Oh God, no! I would have liked to have seen him on here. If he had shown up tonight, that would have been great. But,
oh yeah, it would have been.
Look, kid, I call my grandson. He'll come in here.
No, it's not even that.
My
It's
daughter's
just
probably in here on
just
her little iPad watching anime or something.
I'm trying to. Let me go back one more. Where was the last one he was a part of?
I got myself. Well, I don't have to babysit my nieces anymore because they come over one day and I was watching Deadwood. Never gave it a thought. So they're just sitting in my house for 15 minutes while my sister went to town. And I'm sitting there sewing on holsters and I got Deadwood playing. And then I get called over. We go to have supper with my grandmother and my niece's dad walks in the room and he tries to tell her to do something and she points her finger. You ignorant cocksucker!
Yeah.
I almost quit cursing. I had actually stopped cursing until I watched Deadwood. For every 4-letter word that comes out of my 54-year-old ass right now.
Yeah, I was
fucking cock.
When I first saw Deadwood. When I first saw Deadwood, I was quite surprised how much swearing came in that first episode. And the thing is I've got I don't know how many of y'all here have kids, but I have a just shy of a 2-year-old. He's not even talking yet. And so we're watching Deadwood and here I'm thinking, oh, this is great. And as soon as they start cussing, I'm like, turn it off.
My favorite character in that whole series is Woo. Can't learn any other word in English, but he can sure say cocksucker.
But
big cocksucker.
San Francisco cocksucker. Smudging.
The last one Santee was a part of, I think I misnamed it. It was just called Rebel Talk. It was about a month ago. I haven't streamed in 2 weeks apparently.
Yeah, I haven't done a
Been
stream
busy?
longer than that.
Now you commented on it. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You should have heard the before talk.
Yeah, there was the one on my channel where I brought him and Dustin and you. I think you were there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was before I started having you on there. Yeah. I told him, I said, the 3 rules are keep it clean. We try not to curse over there on that one, and no politics. And first thing Santee brings up is, how did prostitutes take care of their pubic hair back in the day?
Well,
Wow. And the answer to that question is
Well, it didn't.
we never
okay.
found out. I don't think we ever found out we were laughing too hard. Like everybody was just rolling.
See, back in the day, they didn't shave beavers; they just left the hair on them.
I started the beer joint topics and cowboy values post on my main discussion group. The mem from Leave It to Beaver, where Beaver's mother is like, Ward, you're awful hard on the beaver last night. And then it goes, the first dirty words ever spoken on TV. Ward, you're awful hard on the beaver last night.
George Gooding commented, he said, better than Foreskin Friday.
That is, yeah, George, that is a lot better. And the thing, the community voted for the name of this live stream.
Yeah, they did.
I think they even helped pick your channel, that new channel name that you did for your live streams.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I did that one, and then you did the same thing on this one, and yeah, they call it Foreskin Friday.
God.
Yeah, I think that one's still up. I'm surprised that one has not been hit by anything.
Well, I tell you what, I everybody's been fighting with the monetization thing on YouTube. I started getting hit, but the one video they got hit, and I mean they flagged that in the first 5 minutes, was a video titled "Slick Shot Nipples."
I've never had a slick shot nipple. Never thought about it, but I haven't.
Oh, I could take that.
They flagged another one because I was talking about ramming my balls into the chamber.
Yeah,
God.
I got 6 slick shot nipples, and I just rammed all my balls down the bore.
Now, when you're tightening your nipples, you want to make sure to get the proper size wrench on them.
That smoke wagon, you won't be able to see nothing for an hour.
Yeah, the cowboy action is the only sport where you can lube your balls and shoot your load all day long.
And I never touched that Floozy's melons.
Oh, God.
While we're on that subject, you know why hunting and sex is the same, right?
No.
Once you shoot your load off, you got a mess to clean up.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Depends on where that shot went.
The bigger the mess.
Must be getting late because things are going downhill fast.
Yeah. We probably need to call for cleanup on aisle 7.
Yeah.
Oh, that one post that I put on Beer Joint about the more driverless cars are on the road means people will be having more sex in their cars. And I put clean up in number 7, clean up in number 7.
Oh, God, that reminds me of I was in college. My roommate, we was watching that movie. God, it was one of the Stephen King's Thinner. You know, in the scene where the guy's getting a BJ and he hits that gypsy woman. And
I've never seen it, but I'll take your word for it. Go ahead.
oh well, anyway, yeah, that's what happens. And
my roommate just smarts off and he says, "Yeah, that's what happens when you drive under the influence of oral sex."
Okay, here's a topic for discussion. All right, you know how
Okay.
sometimes actors will ad lib and say something as a joke, and it's so good that they leave it in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Deadwood, remember when what's her name, Trixie or whatever, the main whore from the saloon,
Uh-huh.
and he's standing there with the sheriff's buddy. And she looks over and says, "Would you like a blowjob while we wait?" And he goes, well, "Thank you, but no, thank you." Or not, because that was too perfect.
Oh God. Yeah.
By the way, would you like a blowjob while we wait? And it's like he wasn't expecting it. He didn't know what to say. Like he didn't break character. Like, "Well, thank you, but no, not right now."
I would have to see the scene to really tell you that, but
I mean, she
I
did.
wouldn't be
She
surprised
never
if
even
that was.
smiled or nothing. And the guy, his response was like he had no idea she was going to say that.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember the episode, but I remember the scene.
Whoa. I gotta catch up on Deadwood. I haven't watched it in forever. But now but for those who don't know, I've got me a new ride. It's currently in the shop trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with the blinkers. As soon as I get that fixed and get some money saved up, I'm gonna be doing a little trip like Don did. My first stop's gonna be Texas. And then probably go see Mark Humphreys. And then I have no clue what else I'm going to do. Depends on what my
Well,
money
you could always come down to. I know I invited Don to go to the Green Mountain Regulators and go shooting. You can come down here and shoot with us. Last week, it depends on when you're coming. Last weekend of the month, or you could come to my place. We could do a little fast draw. It's up to you.
I'm not the best at fast draw, but I can get better.
I kind of gave up fast draw because when I was a kid, I had a Ruger single six. And there's a moral of the story behind why I typically take long barrels and wear them in a cross draw. Because when I tried the fast draw, and I still don't know how it missed me because it snagged that tall front sight on the holster and it goes off in the holster. It comes through the leather and it goes all the way down my leg. Never cut or tore the pants or nothing. And it varies. I don't know if I can do this. All right, so here's my ankle. And the bullet is right next to the sole of my boot. It's like it went all the way down and then curved in at the last second. It's right next to my foot, but it never tore my pants, hit my leather boot, or never left a mark at all. And I'm like, hey, I guess my guardian angel is working overtime on that one because there's no reason I shouldn't have blew a hole in my leg. So they are. I never fast drawed like that. Again, I always cross draw.
I was doing fast draw, 22 long rifle. It was Heritage 22, and I drew out. And just as I cleared the holster, I fired it off, and I looked down, and there's a little hole in my boot, about where my big toe's at. And I thought, oh crap, it's going to start hurting pretty quick. So I hurried up and got my boot off. There's no blood, and I thought, well, I might get lucky. I might have just nicked it. Pull my sock off. Toe's perfectly fine, but in my toenail, because I hadn't trimmed them, my toenail there is a perfect half circle, right dead center in the middle. So I missed taking my toe off by that much.
By the skin of your teeth.
Yeah. And I had that pair of boots for a long time, and then I wore out the soles, but I wanted to keep them. I had them stuck in my closet. When I went off to college, Mom took them out and threw them out.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm not a fast draw guy. Well, I shoot like I used to read a lot of Louis L'Amour, and he talked about how you would come up a reed or a straight line, door frame, reed, stick, grass, whatever. When you draw, I don't start cocking here. I always wait till I clear the holster, and I don't start pulling the hammer back. And this is not loaded, by the way. I know for a fact it's not. But I'll clear leather, and as I start bringing it forward, I'll start cocking it. So when I get up into this part, I'm already done. But you start at the foot, and you come on a straight line up the body. And basically, when I level the gun is when I pull the trigger. And I never worry about up and down. I only worry about left and right. As long as I'm tracing from the bottom, a straight line up to the top, then I'm good.
You're talking about kind of like
We're
you don't.
I see Wild Bill. I see John Wayne over here. I see Young Smoke over there in the bottom left. And yep, y'all look like y'all having a day.
some mean desperados. But that's how I fast. When I fast draw, that's how I fast draw. Even if I come from a cross draw, I'll wait till I'm completely clear to the holster, and then I'll start cocking it. And as the gun levels, then I'll just squeeze it off.
All right, well, keep your gun.
I'll make sure I go right through the wall at the perfect angle. Your life is paid up.
You're talking about
When I do a fast draw, I always come across and I just, I'd hit it with my thumb to get it started going out of the holster, and that cocks it at the same time. And then as soon as it pulls up, then I hit the trigger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for all our viewers, if that's the right word, you want to get a little system and you want to work it out with muscle memory. So that way, you really don't want to cock that hammer back until you get it clear of that holster. That would be my advice.
Well,
now, if you're Bob Munden and you've got these custom holsters and all this good stuff, no matter what you do, you're not going to shoot yourself. That's money. But if you're like the rest of us, we just got regular, everyday. This holster was not designed for fast draw.
No,
neither one of these were.
This was designed to carry your gun and to keep it safe.
Mhm.
So this is not what you want to be. You don't want to be cocking it right here, so that way if it snags, it goes off and blows a hole through the leather. You want to get clear of it, and then
So you're talking about like this, don't you? Want to hook and there.
cock it as you're rotating that gun forward once it's clear to your body.
Yeah, I wait until when I do it. I have my finger here, and is when I start, and I just bring it up real quick.
Yeah. And as you bring it up is when you're on that vertical line on your target.
But on this one, I just whip back because I have my hand goes so far because that momentum, and then when I come back, that's when I just like that. So whip back.
It's like how do you do your fast? Do you got like special holsters for that, or?
Yeah, there's special holsters, and we don't use real ammunition. We actually use wax bullets.
Well, about 26 or 27 years ago, a horse ran up to me and wanted to talk to me while I was carrying a cap and ball. So it was basically about 10 grains of cream of wheat and 15 grains of black powder, and it almost blew a hole through my leg. Even black powder, a blank charge like that, depending if you're using 501 Hollywood blanks with just a shotgun primer or something, you can hurt yourself really, really bad, even without a chunk of lead at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild West Pete says, "Yeehaw!" Yeah, and believe it or not, I don't know if he actually ever said it, but Wild Earp says, "Slow down, but in a hurry." be slow in a hurry or something along that fat.
Like you coined the phrase in Sniper, fast is slow and slow is fast. It's basically muscle memory.
Yeah. Right.
Fast is slow, and slow is fast. Your muscle memory and your precision and your repetition will increase your speed.
Like when I first started trying to learn how to draw, let me get this out. I was doing this was literally me drawing. Right here. I would end up always here. And then I just I practiced and I just going through the motions. We back up a little bit more, so just.
Duke's going to show us how to do it now.
But now, I mean,
Find the belt that'll fit.
And Jeremy, your holsters. See, we're kind of like what y'all were talking about. It's not stiff anymore. You got a nice stiff holster, and this is an El Paso saddle company too. But it's had so much gun oil and boar butter and mink oil put on it that this is almost like a piece of cloth. I mean, it's out easy enough, but I would have to put this in water and let it sit out in the sun and just get hard again to even get any kind of. This is a comfortable rig, but it is not a fast draw rig.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, I guarantee Duke or Slick probably beat me, but this one for some reason, because I've lost weight, I have to have it a little lower than it's supposed to be. It's supposed to fit right here, but I have to push it down. Yeah, it's supposed to sit like Duke, but because I've lost the weight, I have to push it on my fat ass.
Right. It's
right.
The fast draw holsters are specifically designed to be a little bit stiffer, so that when you pull the pistol, it doesn't ride up your leg or anything like that. You're also allowed to have a tie down.
Then you got the ones that I've seen them where they do it like this, or no, it's like they start here and then they grab the gun and then they kind of flip their hip around. I tried doing that. They don't work crap.
Well, when I ordered,
it's like what Don said. It's just the practice of it. Your equipment, I would say in fast draw you have to have a fast draw holster, unless you are. There's a couple different categories. There's the Slim Jim. There's the shootist category, which is you have to have a Slim Jim holster. So there's guys that shoot with those two, but they're in the same category together, is my point. And then you got the other guys who shoot the fast draw holsters that are specifically designed for fast draw. So, I don't shoot in the shootist category. I have a fast draw holster, and the gun literally just sits in it, and I can move the gun left, right.
Bucket.
Yeah, if I were to carry it every day, that gun would probably fall out the instant I bent anywhere.
Well,
the way this holster is, because it.
High Plowboy, High Wild West Pete. But when I'm gonna let everyone know, when I ordered this thing, I wasn't a size 38. I'm now down because of my new job. I'm down to a 30. These are 32 pants, and they're loose on me. And this thing is at literally the last. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but the last thing I'm gonna have to take this off and move it back so it'll fit me better. I mean, it's supposed to be up here.
This was the last hole that came in this.
I mean,
I had that hole because it was too big for me. And now I think this is the hole I was wearing my buckle in. And then I went down to the dollar store with my daughter and we found an old 70s belt that had this cool little one piece. It's just like a piece of leather glued in it. I thought it was a really neat one. So I put that in it, and that allowed me to tighten it up a little bit. But, if you're 20 years old, you can get you a good fitting belt and it's going to last you a long time. I've had this gun belt for probably, not the holster, but the belt itself. I probably had it for 16, 17 years at least. And I've gone from probably a 36 pant to a 42 pant. And you might need to plan ahead on some of your purchases. Let's just say that.
Well, I didn't think I'd be out.
Yeah.
But the job I had, I wasn't losing any weight. I was actually gaining weight, so I actually bought bigger. And then I got a new job, belt, and then I literally in the last 4 weeks I've lost 10 pounds.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons you said what's your favorite gun range? Now, this cavalry belt has got a system on it where you can adjust for multiple fit. Now, when I was 28 years old is when I got this belt. I've had this belt since probably 1993, maybe
Yeah.
1992.
So you've had it about 20 years.
They will if you take care of it. And I'm trying to look if I can still see it. This was the first hole that hook, that brass hook right there, was in this. So you can see how far I've had to move this belt to keep it fitting me for the last 30 years or 35 years or whatever.
Well, if you said you got it in 93, it's only 26 years old. Don't make me any older than it is. I am.
97, yes. This 20. I've had this belt. I've gone through 3 holsters. Now, when I first started using it, now I was mounted cavalry. So this thing's had sabers, it's had all the equipment you can think of hanging on to it. I've had this cap case since day one. It used to have a little brass period eagle thing on it. And this is some of Doug Kidd's stuff too. It's got all the right arsenal stamps, some real good stuff. This Schofield holster, I think, is my 4th holster that I put on this belt. I've just worn them out. But the pistol case I've had since pretty much day one. But, this is harness grade leather. If you take care of it and you polish it with kiwi and mink oil it, it'll last you a really, really long time. And I've actually still got the choke strap that goes over my shoulder. There's one thing for your saber that goes back here with a hook on it, and the other one goes down here. When you dismount, that's what the little brass hook is for, to hold your sword up. This is my favorite gun belt, and I've literally had it for over 25 years. It's indestructible.
Yeah, well, when you talk about fast on aspects of it, being fast and hitting something, you can be the fastest person in the world, but if you can't hit nothing,
That's what Paladin said in one of his episodes. Because one guy in the saloon, they drew against the crowd, and the guy goes, "Yeah, I think I was watching. I beat you. I outdrew you." And then they have to face off with each other. The guy outdraws him and misses, and Paladin just takes his time and kills him square in the floor. Says, "Yeah, fast but not accurate." You got it. You only as fast as you are accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slick, while I've got you here, where would someone have to have this to be legal for
Good idea.
fast shooting? Like, I mean,
So are you asking how far the holsters have to be apart?
like how would this have to be set up for someone that is wanting to start off with SAS and they just got 2 holsters and a belt that would hold them up and everything, Like, how would they have to set up? I mean, since I've got you here, like,
So the thing is that there's specific rules that say you can't have holsters, because what a lot of people do is they try to put holsters basically as close to the front as possible so that they can have quicker access to their pistols, like
Yeah.
that. Like a lot
Yeah,
of them try
no,
to do
no,
that.
no. That's. I could not have that because that's right over my feet. That's danger zone. This is probably
Right.
close as I
So
can have.
I'm just telling you that's what some people do. You don't have to, but the rule is that if you are to do that, you can't have any less than 2 fists width put together from the center. You see what I mean?
So about there, right? Or
Well, no, not from the center. I'm saying between each holster.
okay, so yeah, that's still unsafe because that's still both barrels pointing right at my feet. I would not feel comfortable having it.
It have to be comfortable for you because remember, a big guy like me, 2 fists is not a problem. For somebody who's only weighs about 110, 20, 30 pounds, it would be more of a concern.
I'm actually
Yeah.
200 even.
Well,
I mean, this is about as close as I.
anyway, so if you like your guns like that, that's fine. The only issue you're gonna have is you can't have a loaded gun and draw beyond what's called the 170 rule.
Okay. So I couldn't
So
do
your
it like
cross draw,
this?
your cross draw, for example, you would actually have to either move the holster forward or you're going to have to move your leg forward so that when you draw the pistol, it doesn't go basically
So
almost perpendicular with the firing line. You see what I mean?
so I could
I
not do this.
Actually, the same way. It's the whole. You got to twist to keep the gun within that cone toward the range. You can't.
I can't throw.
Right.
You can't reach like this and pull it out with the guns pointing back this way.
Okay, so I could,
Yeah,
Way.
so I could
exactly.
not I could not just do this.
You
So-
got to
Right.
You got to
You
get a little
can't. You
ramp.
would have to. You either have to move your holster forward or move your leg forward or twist your body.
So something like this.
You got to do
Yes.
the twist dance.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's probably someone that's going to be interested in cowboy action, and I try to get as much information as out. That's why I have a wide panel. So I would have to. I would either have to move my holster about right here, right? Where
Yeah.
that's there. Now, is this the right? I mean, I've also read the book, and it says something about the right angle. I mean, like
Well,
what's-
you can't. There's only so many degrees in cant you can have. I don't have the exact measurements on that one. I'm just saying that you can cant it, but it can't break a certain degree. And once again, you have to keep in mind that wherever the holster is, it can't break the 170 rule when you draw.
Okay, so when
The guy standing behind you with the timer, you can't shoot him in the leg trying to get the gun out.
okay, yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I've seen some videos where people have took the gun out like this, and then while they're holstering this one and had it like this, and then how legal is that?
Yeah. That's legal because as long as the barrel is pointed down and nowhere to the side at all, as long as it is pointed down towards the firing line as you're bringing it forward and as you transition, you won't have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
what is like? I know I've watched a lot of your videos, and you deal with a lot of this. What is a good caliber for someone to start off with, like for like their pistols and their rifle? I mean, I like
well,
Bigger, go home 45.
say that again.
Go big or go home 45. And I think some of the competitions you've got to have 45 or 44.
Well,
45
you know what's really funny?
for mounted cowboy shooting because they supply you with the
Well,
blank.
you know what's funny is I'm actually doing a video this next week about the difference between 45 Colt shooters and 38 special. So I'm going to be doing two different extremes for you on that one. But to answer your question, really, I just say what you're getting into cowboy action for. Are you going to do it for competition, or are you going to do it for any other reason? Me, for example, I got into the sport just because of the idea of shooting something that was historically correct, and I thought that 45 Colt sounded pretty good, considering that was the original cartridge for the Colt Single Action Army. So I started with that, and even though that's not correct in a lever gun, I decided to go with the same caliber in my lever gun so that I didn't have the issue of accidentally mixing ammunition, even if I went with 44, because I actually have almost had that problem. That's for another story. I just say look at why you're getting involved in the sport, and also what do you feel comfortable shooting, and can you afford it?
Now,
I would say.
Well, gents, I'm gonna have to sign off. I gotta get to bed so I can get up early in the morning and go to work. So we'll see ya.
all right, Duke. Have a nice night.
Good night.
Good night, Duke.
Yep. See ya. Good
Adios.
meeting you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Okay, yeah, that's not going to work.
Slick, did you ever know a black gentleman by the name of Won't Stop?
No, never heard of him.
Well, I met him at my first cowboy shoot because I was packing a 357 Vaquero, my 45 volt Colt Vaquero, and I had a Rossi 92, and then I had my Rossi coach gun. And the first thing I did when I got up there is I went pow 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 pow, and they said, whoa 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 whoa, you can't fan fire. So it's either won't quit or won't stop. It's been 12 years since I met the gym, but he pulled me off to the side. He gave me my crash course in cowboy action shooting 101. And another guy came up and he says, man, Won't Stop must really took a shine to you. I says, why that? Well, he took you over there and gave you that lesson, right? He says, yeah, usually he charges $400 for that. He's basically won everything in Western 3 gun that you could win at least 5 times.
Oh,
and
Christ.
I was watching him shoot. I mean, he was getting 17-second runs. And it's like I had the VCR on, like, you know, where you get fast forward, where it's like double the speed. It's like, wow. But to kind of put my 2 cents worth into, because at one time, all right, this is my old model Vaquero. And I bought I always wanted a combo long Colt, and I couldn't never get it because those are Davidson's limited editions. So I bought a Ruger Blackhawk, and I took the Blackhawk cylinders, long Colt and ACP, and I fitted them to this gun. Now, the Blackhawk 45 Colts have a bigger throat, which is why I can shoot jacketed bullets out of this gun where you normally can't shoot jacketed bullets out of an old model Vaquero, because the throats are 451 and the grooves are 451.5. So the story that I'm getting to here is when you have a 357 Vaquero and I'm shooting 45 ACPs with lead cowboy bullets and a 357 Rossi, I basically have 3 calibers. I got 45 automatic, 45 long Colt, and 38 special. 50, you know. So I've shot all the calibers, and then when I shot with the Travis County Regulators, which their group was located down, and they got a different name now, but they're down in Upton, Texas, in Bastrop County, which is real close to my farm. One note about the caliber thing is one of the gentlemen that shot there was in his late 70s, and he was a state judge. And they had some real good people there. a couple of state judges, actually, Texas toll road inspector, pretty good crowd of people. But, he brought it up since one day we were talking. He said, yeah, people give me crap about shooting 38 special, but you got to remember, I'm in my late 70s and I am barely able to do this. So if I had to shoot 45 Colt, I couldn't do it because I couldn't take the recoil anymore. And you got to remember, you can create a pressure spike in a case by having too little powder in it. So there's a point where you have to have a minimum charge to get away with it.
Mhm.
Now you can put about 2 grains of clays, 2 grains of bullseye, 2 grains of unique, 2 grains of red dot. You can get that 38 special down to where it's pretty much a wet fart.
Yeah.
And you can literally watch the bullet fly down range, hit the target, stop, and fall straight to the ground. But if you try to cut down a 45 Colt, you can actually blow the gun up because you have too little powder in it. And you're creating that pressure spike in there. And if you're shooting like, all right, the Ruger Vaquero, maybe not. The 71 open top, most of your Italian guns, I got a pet name for these. If any of y'all know, I'm not going to say what it is, but I got a pet name for my Italian guns. But I got some from some buddies of mine. You can grenade those guns.
This Remington, I'm loading them as light as I can. I can, and sometimes I get these weird ones where I had one where the case was weird, and even though I thought I had loaded there,
Yeah, you
weird.
probably you bulged the case, didn't you?
It because there was a wrinkle in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I get to the top, it was just a little wrinkle.
The heat expanded and then it recontract. When you fire the case, they expand, and as they cool, then they contract again. And you probably overpressure. You didn't have enough powder in it, and you cause a pressure spike, bulged the case, and then as it cooled, it shrunk back down and created that wrinkle.
Well, it was a black powder charge, so I'm thinking it was just a little bit of an air gap in it.
It could have been that would create a pressure spike.
But I was kind of afraid. I mean, I took it to a gunsmith to make sure that this was still safe to shoot because of that. I mean, because, if not, if the gun wasn't safe to shoot, I was figuring that this was. But the gunsmith explained it to me that this adds a little bit of extra strength to this body and this helps. He says, I picked kind of the strongest cap and ball revolver to do a cartridge conversion for. He says, but don't go over, and he gave me a whole list of these loads, and I haven't. But my most accurate load out of this gun, 8-inch modeled Remington, is 35 grains of 2FG, not 3FG, 2FG black powder, or 5.6 grains of Trail Boss. And 3FG, for some reason, it throws them all over the place out of this gun. And I'm actually using a bigger diameter than I need, so it will, because when I slugged the bore and everything, I got a bigger diameter 45 Colt bullet to fit that. And it's just, I don't know. But those are just the 2 loads I found it. But of course, someone else
that gun pretty good.
But at 35, well, we were shooting at what? When you came down, it was what, 35 yards at a man-sized target, a head target? And it was hitting pretty close. And the ones that missed the steel would have either whizzed by the ear or whatever, would have scared the living bejesus out of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty accurate. And I mean, all I've done so far to this for sight-wise is just rounded this little off back here, this little sight picture, just rounded it up, took a round file and just rounded it out. That's all I've done. And flattened this top off right here. That's it. And but that's all I needed to do, I guess. On this one, it shoots almost point of aim. Well, I have to redo that now because, well, I broke the front sight. But, I have another question for you, Slick.
Yeah.
What would something like this Sharps be? Could someone use like a Sharps? Is there a category for like something like this in SAS or SAS? I think it's called.
Yeah, there's a side match you could use it in called the Plainsman. What I would do is I'd look up a video. Have you ever watched Jedi TV?
Yeah, but there's other
If you
people.
look up Jedi TV and you look up his Plainsman match one, he talks very technically about what is allowed in a Plainsman match, and I believe the Sharps and 4570 is one of them because you have to have a single shot rifle for the match.
Well,
So
I won't
yes, you can
I
use
won't-
it, but it has to be a. Don't quote me on it because I don't shoot it. But I think it has to be a cartridge gun. It can't be black powder. I mean, it can't be
a paper.
right, paper patch.
So I wouldn't be able to use that one because it's a 54 caliber.
Mm.
Even in a
It
cart.
That would probably be up to the group whether they let you use it or not, because most of the time they're pretty lenient with it. But the problem I ran into is there was a bunch of people with the regulators that wanted to do a lot of the side matches and stuff. But, what I liked about them is they would cook barbecue or spaghetti, and we'd have a meal after the match. Well, by the time we got with the 3-gun, they'd eat, and then everybody wanted to go home, so there was no side match. Now, if you get down to Fredericksburg, and I've always wanted to go, but I never have. I heard they've got this big giant walking trail where you can do the big single shot matches out to like 200-300 yards. And I've heard all kind of great things, but I've never been able to get out there to go to it.
Well, I've shot with you're talking about the Texican Rangers. I mean, does that sound familiar to you?
It's been years. It's been years, bud.
Okay. The group that I know of down in Fredericksburg is the Texican Rangers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have a long range match, area. I haven't been to it. I've only been to their cowboy area, and I wouldn't put it past them if they've got what you're talking about. Because the land that they're on is just ridiculously large. I don't know how much acreage, but it's far more than I could imagine. I know that the Green Mountain Regulators, we have a long distance shoot, usually the day after our cowboy matches, but those are out to about 400 yards maximum. We have, I think, 21 targets, or maybe one or two more than that we shoot at. But depending on what kind of rifle you're shooting, if you're shooting anything that is not what they call precision sight class, which is the one where you've got like the marbles, tang sight, stuff like that, and what do you call it? The staff?
The vernier?
The vernier, right. If you don't have the vernier sight, you're only shooting to 200 yards. So.
Yeah, my Pedersoli trapdoor, basically, I guess if anybody's interested. So Beauchamp, I think he's out of Pennsylvania, was the national distributor for Pedersoli. And there's 3 trapdoor carbines left in the States when I bought mine, and this has been 10, 12 years ago. And so I talked to Beauchamp when we're ordering it. And he's a really nice guy. He likes to talk. And he basically went to his personal collection and handed Pedersoli one of his rifles to take back to Italy to copy for the Pedersoli trapdoor carbine. What he handed him was a cut-down rifle. Because when you look on the side of the 74 sight or the 73 sight and all that, it'll have a C or an R. And when you look at the reproduction rifle, it's a carbine, but it has an R on the sight. So the point I'm making is when I load my 4570 bullets, I only make one load. And I use 4895 powder, and I make basically what I got from Lyman is the black powder equivalent for a carbine load, 405 grain bullet, about 1,300 feet per second, whatever. And I basically took, I don't know how I can explain this. All right. So here's the sight. All right. Basically like this. And then it comes down, and then you got the elevator that will ride up. It's basically this long. And here's where your bullseye is. And you got the little thing that slides up and down to the different positions. And then you're supposed to be able to stand straight up. Well, the Achilles heel to Italian guns is they got the most Mickey Mouse chicken poop rear sights, unless it's the buckhorn ladder sight that you can. They got the shittiest sights you can get because they're cheap metal. Right. They got lousy springs, and they're just pretty much gimmicky unless you upgrade them. So what I did is I took a file at 50 yards and I filed the straight part down here for 50 yard zero. Then you got a little half round part, that's 75. Then you have 100, 200, and 300. And I basically backed off in 50 yard increments and I with a file, and I filed my rear sight so that I'm dead on the money shooting a 14-inch gong, sitting and kneeling out to 325 yards. And the way I get that now, I don't know if you can see my peace symbol here. If I put my sight down here, that would be 100 yards or 50 or 200 or 300. If I take my front sight and I move it to the top of the peace symbol, okay, then that is 150, 250, and 325.
Okay.
So my carbine is on the money out to 300. And the reason I say 250 to 300 to 325, time you get to you're probably looking at a 78-inch drop on the bullet. So at 300 yards past that, it's taking a nosedive into the dirt. So you're not going to get the 350 yards. You're going to get about 325. So 200 yards, we put it in range of my trapdoor carbine because it's good for 3, so I can shoot 2.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
You go. You're the guest.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I haven't seen a whole lot of people shoot trapdoors at my range. A lot of people shoot usually rolling blocks, sharps. They have a bolt action class, so we got guys who will shoot Mausers, Nagants, Krags, things like that.
Well,
so
where I go, I can't record where as soon as I become a member, I'll be able to record. I have to go there and pay for and be submitted to be a member and all that stuff. It's called the Arkansas Muzzleloading Association. They offer the first match free. I went there. I liked it. I took my little CVA Bobcat and my Remington. First time I went out there, I loaded up. I shot poorly, but I had fun. So I went back. It's not that expensive. I mean, it's like $15 a match for 2 days. That's not bad. They've got powder, your primer, they've got everything you need. Well, they have a class for military style rifles that they do once a month. It starts as 100, then goes to 200, then 300, then 400 yards. I took this Sharps out there that I got from Don. I had the Lee real bullet and at the 100 yards, I just used it like that, flat. 200, I actually have it just sit there, and then just 300 is just a little, actually is a little high. it shoots low at 300 yards. But at 400 yards, it shoots dead on the money. 300 yards, I have to have it between the 3 and the 4 to hit where I'm aiming at. I don't know how well y'all can see it, but that's 300 yards.
That's why you got to get a little notebook and keep a little, what we used to, like a sniper's data book. You just got to those bullets out, and basically you use those range marks as minutes of angle. So that way you can know where to set your sight. Unless, I got so many guns, I don't know which one to pick up first. So I got to keep notes and data books. Back in the good old days, I had one rifle. I knew my rifle and I never missed because I knew where to set it.
Right.
But,
That's definitely something that I do it as well. So I recommend that for sure. If that's something you want to get into, Jeremy.
Yeah. When Don came down, we were shooting pistols and our rifles at the same distance. And I think I was having aim at 35 yards on the 100-yard zero. I was having aim about 1.5 feet low. I think that's where I was having aim to hit the 2.5-inch gong. But so that's, I mean, at 35 yards, it looks like this coffee. I mean, hold on.
yeah,
it looks like this at that distance for your sights.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't look no bigger than a coffee cup.
This is the Pieta, and this is the sight you probably need to put on your Remington that's dovetailed in. Mm-hmm. This is filed in to be dead on the money at 25 yards, and it's good out to 35. This is the factory conversion, the Uberti, and that needs to be about 1/16 of an inch taller because I've got to hold about 6 inches low at 25 yards to hit dead on the money.
Well, the guy I'm gonna be having replace this one. I mean, that's $50. I mean, that's not bad. And I'm gonna have him put on a brass one, just so it's easier for me to see. Because black on black, that's kind of hard. I'm gonna have him put on a brass front sight because that's the way it's on my CVA Bobcat. And I can pull it up. I can easily acquire the target very quickly, very easily. And that's why I like that Bobcat.
Yeah, another little trick for if you want to take the time to do it, if you look at some of the old World War I German Mausers, you'll see where they melted silver on the back of the front sight to make it more visible. They would actually just solder silver right onto the front sight and then basically break it up with little patterns. So even if you got a blue sight, you could if you look how I did this one. I don't know if you can catch the light to see it or not. Probably not. You can see where you can see where I got a little bit of a, I don't know where my camera's at.
You need to bring it back right there.
All right. You can see where there's a little bit of a 45-degree angle at the top of that sight as it's facing me. And when the sun hits that, it lights it up really, really well. If you look at my videos, you can see that front sight just lit up in the sun, even as I'm, this is how I shoot. Because I got to hold the smartphone up, and then I got to look and aim the rifle, and you can usually see that front sight's lit up pretty good. And if I was to melt some silver solder on the back of it and clean it up real good, it would basically be just like a silver bead on it.
I would highly recommend you one of these little Ohmis. That's what I got. That's what I was using. I mean, this is what I was using when you were down. I mean,
yeah, that was pretty good. Mark Humphreys has got a couple of them because he's got one that usually focuses on you, the one that focuses on the target, and he's really good at editing.
Yeah, I'm not that good at editing yet. I gotta get it. Well, I had a good editing software, then my computer worked.
And the way I edit is, well, that was a crappy video. Let me erase it and do it over. And when I do my videos, whatever you see, They're unscripted, unrehearsed, and unedited. It's whatever you see, that's what happened that day. And usually, if I royally screw up, I just leave it in the video. That way you can learn from my mess up.
Wow.
Yeah, I learned about the editing real quick because the thing that got me was when I had people catch my mistakes and they'd like, I was trying to teach them the right way, and then they're like, no, that's not what it does, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I need to definitely go through and start editing this stuff. So that's why I do what I do. And on top of that, I noticed that if I don't edit, people lose interest. So I just
Well,
yeah.
you've got the disadvantage of being on YouTube, and I've got the advantage of being on my group, and I don't care because Black Powder Revolver, or I don't want to say a name, but it was one of the Capital Ball groups because I quit Black Powder and Revolver Enthusiasts about the same time I started my group. Because I just, like I said, the young 17-year-old guy, and he's still in my group today. We're actually pretty good friends. But I'm going to tell you what got me kicked out of this one group. See how you get the wedge out? Don't use a metal steel hammer. Don't ever do that to your gun. That is bad.
Yeah. So
don't dip it in a muddy pond. Don't clean it in muddy water and then go shoot it because it was so caked up with black powder. Don't beat the wedge out with a steel hammer. Everything it was noted. Well, that obviously he just demonstrated he just demonstrated on everything you're not supposed to do. And then they realized it was me, and they realized the rebuttal coming back is like, well, I'm not a prissy guy, and it's not my crown jewel. This is my beater. Okay, my pet name for Italian guns comes from my friends because I had a big collection of them. Says, Don, you got the most fascinating collection of Italian trash I've ever seen. Why don't you go buy a fucking Colt? I started buying Colts.
yeah. Well, I think what did it for me definitely was stuff like that. Was I think you posed that question, Don, was the question on and I was one of the few to answer it. I don't know if you remember. You asked the question about how do you feel about fingers on the trigger versus not? I don't know. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. I don't remember the responses, but I remember the question because I think it says, yeah, well, you got. Go ahead.
No. Finish what you're saying.
Well, I think it was me with my finger on the trigger. Yeah, if you learn how to keep your finger off the trigger or something like that or whatever. And I remember the post, but I don't remember the conversation.
I don't remember that far. All I remember was the question was posed, and my answer was that I think it's an extremely archaic belief. That's my opinion. But the thing is that I actually told them. I actually posted a picture of me with my finger on the trigger, and people on the internet just lost it. And I'm like, and I seriously, I was like, I can see where you're coming from, guys. I get it, but it's a frickin' photo. Just shut up,
Well,
here's the point. When I have my finger inside the trigger and my hand on the hammer, my finger's not down here on the trigger. It's up against the trigger guard, and it's supporting the gun.
Right.
When I pull the trigger and I ride it up, I put my finger in the trigger guard, up against the trigger guard, and I am supporting the weight of the gun. It's a point of balance. So if I'm hunting, let me get over here where everybody can see better. If I'm hunting, or let's say I'm going down my walking trail that I use in videos, and I'm coming up on my target. I'm not going to be out here like this. And no, I'm going to have my finger inside the trigger guard, point of ballot, center of gravity, right there at the pivot point, finger on the hammer. And when I see my target, it's just like I said when I'm drawing the gun, it's the same thing. I'm not going to walk around with a cocked pistol in my finger like this. It's not a semi-automatic. I'm going to be
Right.
just like this. And when I see my target, I'm going to, and instead of coming up from the bottom to shoot, I'm going to come down. And when the gun levels on the target, and I'm not looking through my sights, I'm looking over, but I'm putting the sight at 6 o'clock, and I'll hit center mass. That's how I hit. You know, it used to be a pig's butt because I shot the tail off. So I had the attack goat, the charging attack pig. How do you hit a charging attack pig about this big? It's maybe a foot across and a foot tall, and it's got a little cutout for its snout, feet, and had a little tail on top. But we shot that off years ago. How do you hit the 12 by 12 a charging tack pig from the offhand position, just dropping the gun straight down and hitting it at 35 yards? That's not easy. It's even harder with a cell phone in the other hand. So I'm filming like this, and I go pang, ding. It's my muscle memory, my technique. So I don't walk around like this. I walk around like this. There's probably 5/8 of an inch airspace between my trigger and my finger.
Oh,
right. That's how I get on target, because the gun is front heavy, but it's got a good center of balance. That's why I like Colts over Remingtons. This is the best pointing shooting gun ever built by anybody anywhere. The only thing that points better than this is probably a Luger, which is why I like the Ruger Mark II. But I'm just saying, it's muscle memory, it's training, it's your experience. Now, you should never shoot through the woods. You should never shoot across water. You should never shoot into water. You should never, you know what? You should mind your own damn business, because I got 5 miles between me and the closest thing on the other side of this thick patch of woods, and the bullet ain't going to make it through there. If you knew something about my range, like I got thin squeeze steel targets. Never you shouldn't be shooting those. Well, I never shoot them head on. If you put a flat steel in front of me, that bullet is going to bounce straight back at me. But you know what? We got this little thing we do. We turn them sideways, so the bullet hits it and ricochets away rather than coming straight back. Because I tell you what, I got hit by a 22 right here before, and it broke the skin. It hurt like hell.
Right.
There is method to madness on every range, and my targets are basically made like this. You got a pedestal, and you got a target that stands up on it. That bullet hits here, it comes straight down, and it comes straight back at you. So you want to be sideways, so when it hits and it goes that way, away from you. That's I look at some public. I mean, I've been on some SAS ranges, and it's amazed to me how people have not walked out there with a piece of lead sticking out of a piece of squirting jugular.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, you're not the.
I'm not the first person, am I?
No. Believe me, I have thought that myself. It scares me sometimes when I see that. But it's like, it also depends on the range. Some of them are farther, and then there's some of them, they're like, well, we're going to put it as close as possible. We're going to put the pistol target friggin' 3 feet in front of us, and I'm sure you've seen those. But yeah, it's just like, it amazes me. I'm like, I don't see why people don't see this as a hazard. And then it's like, well, we don't shoot full loads in it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great for the guy who does that. but you got guys that come out, they've never done it before, and they're shooting factory ammunition.
Well,
You know?
let me say this. Let me say this one thing. All right.
Yeah.
Western three-gun competition is a sport. Okay, it's not a bunch of guys who get together on the weekend and wear blue jeans and cowboy hats and Buscadero six shooters with Ruger Blackhawks. It has turned into a full-blown sport. And you can argue 45, Colt 38, whatever, but you know what? You've got these little blue competition springs that take nothing to cock. But at the same time, they won't even set my bullets off because I use Magnum primers. I don't use Federal lightweight, thin skin. Look at it too hard and the cartridge goes off. My bullets, my guns, you know, if you put that in, my guns require regular factory hammers. I don't have short stroke, you know, with my fingers, and I don't even move my thumb. You gotta rack my guns. I do not have Western three-gun competition guns if I go. If I go, I've got this heavy-ass Ruger Vaquero with a heavy hammer, and I don't care if I got large Magnum rifle primers in my 45 Colts. This is going to set them off. All right. Now, these, I got a pair of them, consecutive serial numbers. These are the limited edition SAS, but even these don't have the blue springs in them. Even this has got some pretty decent factory heavier springs in it. So my point I'm making is if you want to compete in three-gun, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the people listening. If you want to compete and you want to win, then you got to play the game. And to play the game, you got to know the rules and you got to have the right toys to play. If you just want to go there and have fun, then take your toys that you got with you and have fun with them. And if somebody says something to you, says, yeah, well, I'm not into it enough to go out and spend $3,000. I mean, what's a Texas brush popper with an Eva Roy trigger job and short stroke action going to run you?
Oh my God, probably about $1,800 at least.
$1,800 for a 73 brush popper. And then you got the Evil Roy limited editions with the light trigger job, hammered springs, blah, blah, probably $800 a piece on the revolvers.
Yeah.
With the trigger jobs and spring kits. And now you're looking at a slick Renko or either a Chiappa 97 because you're not going to compete with the double barrel. And then you're going to have to sit like Evil Roy or the guy that did the Presley thing on Cowboys for Outdoor Channel. Western three-gun shooters are always better with shotgun than the modern three-gunners because they have magic fingers. They've got that, you know, where you reach over, drop one in, and then shove one, close it. I mean, well, I guess you got to drop it, close it, and shove one, shove two. You got magic fingers.
Well, there's some people that do that. I'm not skilled enough to do that for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't. That's why I was using the coach gun. I don't do it anymore. So I traded my coach gun off, and that's how I got my AR pistol. I got my own version of a E11 Stormtrooper blaster, but we won't go into that different subject. But that's my point is if you're gonna really get into Western three-gun, you're gonna spend the money. You're gonna get trigger action jobs. You're gonna get all the right toys. You're gonna get all the right holsters. And these holsters are not what you're gonna walk around with for daily carry or hunting trips. You're gonna have another set of leather just for that. If you're really gonna get into it.
I agree with what you're saying, 100%.
What's
You can't drive in the Indianapolis 500 without an Indianapolis race car. You're not going to take your fourth-gen Camaro out there and do 170 around the track. And I tell you what, I've done 173 miles an hour in a fourth-gen Camaro with a, let's just say, modified engine. And I'll tell you what, 173 in a fourth-gen Camaro with the fiberglass fenders are doing this, and the windows are sucking out of the door frames. It's an interesting ride. And this car was actually factory track suspension. But you're not going to take that car and go compete on the Indianapolis 500. You're going to go drop a couple of $100,000 to get that race car, just like you're going to go drop about 3,000 or 4,000 to get you a nice set of cowboy guns. If you're going to plan on winning the Western 3-Gun Championships,
Right.
few people sit at home and do toothpaste trigger action jobs like that one kid did that actually compete and win. But I'm not 17 anymore either.
Well, back to what y'all saying about the trigger thing. Right here, this is when I have to pull my pistol and because I think it's a hog or something. That's how I hold it. I hold it right here because as soon if I see it is a pig,
Point of balance.
I mean it just that extra. And the Remingtons, I think, are a little bit more front heavy because they've got a little bit more meat right here.
They've
Yeah.
got a good balance, but it's not as good a center of balance as the Colt.
Colts are more center balanced, but at the same time, if I had a pistol whip somebody, that's going to hit them like an axe blade.
If you're going to pistol whip somebody, that frame's not going to break. I pistol somebody with this, you're going to break the cylinder, you're going to break the arbor right there where the barrel contacts it. It's going to split it right in half.
This is just.
I broke a Colt in half once.
Well, I'm just talking about like even if it doesn't do that, I mean just the amount more damage that it's going to do is because that's a lot thinner, like on the Colts because they're a little bit more bulkier. They're flatter. They're more.
Blade.
They're
That's
flatter.
like a blade.
It's kind of like hitting someone with a baseball bat versus an axe blade. But it's just, I don't know why. It's just that just feels a lot easier on this than that Colt Navy I had. I mean, and also it's just I like the way the sights are set up. It's just.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I did Civil War reenactments, I carried 3 Remingtons and 4 extra cylinders and a double action Patterson. But like I said, with the cylinder case, that double cylinder case, I would slide that onto my holster, and the holster had a buckle on it that went around my breast collar, and that locked it in there. So I had 2 Remingtons in the cantle with a cylinder case on each holster. Then I carried a Remington in my flap holster, and I had the Patterson. You know, for those of you who don't know, when you watched Clint Eastwood in The Unforgiven, the gun that he was holding behind his back on the cover of the DVD, that's the double action pistol. I had one of those, and I used it for cavalry competitions. And so I had basically 8 pistols. I had 4 pistols with 4 extra cylinders. And that's a lot of firepower for 1863. Then I had a sharps like the one Jeremy's got. Typically, like my cartridge box, I had 20 paper cartridges. And there's no bullets on these, but I had 20 paper cartridges in it. And it was on the back of my belt. And I had another one on my carbine sling with a hook that you would carry around your body. So I had 40 rounds for my sharps. I had 8 pistols, and they were all loaded with 6 shots each because they're all Remington, so they had positive lock systems.
Oh, yeah.
My trusty saber. And at one time, I bought this offside carbine boot right here.
You bring right there.
And this I would put over the kettle in my saddle in the front because, I watched Tombstone like everybody else, so I wanted to carry my. By the time I got 4 pistols, a sharps, and a saber, I wanted to have my double barrel shotgun on the saddle with me too. So yeah, I was a mounted arsenal for 1863.
Pete asked, "What do we think of the Uberti carbine repeater?" I never.
Put your hand far forward and burn your skin off your fingers. You're good to go.
What was that?
Say that one more time. I didn't catch the question.
Okay, if this was it, or I put a shoulder stock on this, as long as you're fine. But if you do this, all the fire from that cylinder is coming straight down here on your arm. If you do this, you're gonna have a really bad day.
Pete asked, what do we think of the
What?
Utility carbine repeater? I'm not sure if he's talking about their lever gun or the one where it's.
I think you're talking Remington. You're talking about the cattle with the 16 or 18 barrel,
yeah,
and instead of having the pistol grip, it comes out straight with the shoulder stock.
yeah. And
Like I said, just keep your hand away from the front of that cylinder, otherwise it's going to powder burn the crap out of you.
I'd probably
Yeah.
best keep it like this because that's a good cradle point for it.
Yeah, pretty much
Or
do that.
pretty well
Right.
away. I mean, you still be able to work everything. And as anyone knows, these are unloaded.
Well, I think don't they? The rifle he's talking about, I believe, has a trigger spur on it that's allowed for the offhand to support.
It
Yeah.
does. Have an extra trigger spur that comes down.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can do something. I think it's something like right about here, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a pistol, like a forward pistol grip, but it's more here. But
Right.
I'm not sure.
Just don't try to get tactical with it, okay?
Yeah, 'cause
That-
Won't even be able to
that's
turn
not
that
a
cylinder.
tactical handle.
no. I'm not sure if you could put like kind of like what I got on my this Remington. If you would be able to just get one of these right here and just shoot 45 cold out of it, I'm not sure or not.
I don't think the cylinder interchanges with the pistols, from what I've been told. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do. And if you got a conversion kit for it, it might have to be some kind of a. I don't know.
I would have to get one. I just don't have the money for one, honestly. My next gun is I want a pocket pistol.
40-volt conversion kit for the Uberti Cattleman revolver.
But I'm thinking about getting a little 18. What is it? I'll get one. Hold on, I got it saved on Midway. Hold on one second. Oh, in my wish list. Just one second.
I'm not seeing one pop up. I don't think they make a conversion kit for it.
Jeremy's looking up his pocket pistol. That's,
Yeah, I
that's
can't
what
remember
we're waiting
what.
on.
Yeah. So right now I'm getting. Well, right now, what I've got in my shopping cart is the Lee shotgun for 20 gauge. I'm trying to find my what is it? Crap. Because it's got free shipping on it, so I'm getting me that. I think it's, okay. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna type it in. Screw it. Full pocket. I hate the way they have this stuff set up on here. You can't find anything unless you know that you're looking for. Unless you gotta do type in one thing, then do another thing to do another thing.
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting my little junk room here cleaned up since my son moved back over here. I had to clean out my reloading shed. because we originally converted that for a bedroom, so all my junk came into this room, which is you see a bunch of crap behind me. But the worst thing I did is actually start cleaning this thing, and now I can't find anything because it's all organized, and I can't remember what I did with half the stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, do we have any other questions or?
I'm one second.
No
Let
worries.
me.
I think.
Yeah, Wild Western Peagrass is similar to what Leaf Van Cleef had. His was a Colt, wasn't it? Was the Colt, wasn't it?
Was that a butt line pistol with like a 10 or 12 or like a 12 or 14-inch barrel on it?
I think
And then
so.
he had detachable shoulder stock?
I think it was. Yeah, that it was detachable. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. Wild West Pete says Dillinger. No, I was thinking about the Dillinger, but then I'm like, I'm gonna get a cartridge converted for it. Well, here. Here it is, right here. It's gonna cost me a pretty penny because it's the one I want. Let me get it to where I can. How do I do this? Screen share. There. That one. Here. Is it showing that?
It's trying. There it is.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. Yeah, this is what I want to get. Right here.
Mhm.
And then get cartridge conversion for it to shoot 45 long coat out of it. But it's not in order but I just like that bird head grip right there. I like the way that looks.
Well, here's probably going to run into, Jeremy, and I'm going to try to show everybody. If you get that 45 Colt, it's not going to actually be a 45 Colt. It's going to be a 45 Schofield.
Well, they'll still be able to. They're still able to see.
Well, here's the thing. This is a 45 Colt cartridge. Can you put me back up on the screen?
There you go.
This is a 45 Colt cartridge, but it's loaded with my Johnson & Dow. You see how I bumped the nose down on it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me get one of my regular 45 Colts. Well, actually, here we go. Now, can you see the red sticking out of the end of the cylinder?
Yep.
And this is a short nose cartridge because this is a critical defense bullet. Okay, this is like a hollow point with a little piece of rubber in it. If you get that gun and you put the R&D conversion kit in it, even the Curse, this will not shoot a full-length 45 Colt cartridge because the cartridge overall length is too long for it. So you're going to have to get what you can do. When I first started out with it is I would case trim my brass down about 1/16 of an inch to make it short enough to fit in here and not stick out the end, because if it sticks out the end, then it's not going to clear the forcing cone on your pistol. So you can case trim brass, or you can seat your bullets a little bit deeper, or you can use round balls. Or they really don't make a 45 Colt wad cutter that I know of. So that's the problem you're going to run into is you'll have to have Schofields to use the R&D Howl or the Curse conversion on that. And the reason I can get away with it with the Uberti is this is built from the factory as when you buy this gun, it's a cap and ball pistol. They can mail it to your front door. When you convert it, as long as you don't notch the side of the cylinder, the back strap for a loading gate, this never becomes a firearm, even after you put a conversion cylinder in.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a Curse in it and you notch the frame, Then you manufactured a firearm once you make a permanent alteration to the gun to make it a cartridge gun. This gun was manufactured as the factory as a cartridge gun with a loading date. So when you bought this gun, you had to fill out the 4473 because this was a firearm from day one. This one was not and is not a firearm, even though it'll shoot a centerfire cartridge. So the reason this one shoots a full-length 45 Colt case is because they stretch the frame on it. Now, Gary Lee Barnes, am I saying his name right? He's the one that took over since Jay at Curse Conversions retired. I think Gary Lee. Is it Barnes?
I'm not sure.
I think it's Garrett. It's Colt Remington Open Top Conversion Group. I think it's Gary Lee Barnes is the new contract gunsmith for Curse Conversions that's doing it. What you can do, because this is what Jay did to my Colt, is I didn't really want to shoot cap and ball cylinders out of my Colt. That's the Uberti parts assembled by U.S. Firearms under contract for Colt. So it's not really a Colt, but because it was done under contract, they put all the Colt markings on it, and it's sold as a Colt. But what Jay could have did when he converted it is instead of shaving off the face of this cylinder to fit the gun, he could have shaved off the forcing cone, the back part on the barrel here. So that would have left the cylinder long enough to fit a full-length case, long Colt cartridge. But let me share this one last thing, and I think I'm going to get ready to sign off. The Navies I had, those Navy Londons especially, this is not made out of the same grade of metal as this Uberti firearm. Okay? The cap and ball, this one, is not made with the cap and ball, this one, is not made with the same grade of hardened metal as these firearms from the factory. Okay? So if I was to be able to load my reloads, which are basically factory or plus P factory bullets, or let's just say I put one of my Ruger Contenders that is over 10 grains of unique, which is a double charge for this gun. If I could load a Ruger Contender load that I shoot in this gun and fit it into this gun and shoot it, I'd turn this gun into a hand grenade.
Oh, very easily.
Very, very easily. I would grenade this whole top of the cylinder. The top 3 chambers, if I'm lucky, are going to blow off. If you did it in your Remington, you would be buying a new Remington because there'd be no top strap on it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a very good chance that there will not be 3 chambers on top of this cylinder, and the whole front of your gun will be laying 3 feet in front of you. And if you're really, really lucky, there won't be any metal fragments in your face and eyeballs. So you don't want to overload these guns. And one of the nice things, and I'm going to say this in a positive way, when you have the short cylinder that will not load a factory 45 long Colt bullet is a good thing, because that means you have to use your shorter reloads that have reduced powder charges or black powder in them. And what I come up to do, anything that I shoot out of this gun, I use a Johnson & Dow conical bullet in it. Now, this is the healed cap and ball bullet. And I want to show you one other thing right quick, because I know I got them laying up here pretty easy to get a hold of. Now, I have started loading these in a lot of different cartridges, but this is a Johnson & Dow conical bullet. You can see where my lube sizer has squashed the tip of the bullet, and you can kind of see where the shave ring is now gone. I don't know if you can see it better here. But this is the 1862 healed, and when you say healed, this bottom part is it's narrower than the rest of the gun, because if I can do this with my conversion cylinder, it should work. theoretically it should work. I can get it out afterwards. If not, I'll take the gun part. All right, here you go. So when you say healed, it fits down inside the cylinder, so it'll line up underneath the plunger. This is the plunger. This is the loading lever. This is the plunger. This is the bridge. This part right here is the bridge. That will sit down inside the cylinder. That's what we talk about healed bullets. Now, any cartridge that has a Johnson & Dow conical cap and ball healed bullet in it is a safe bullet cartridge to shoot out of this gun. Okay? I know that if this bullet is on the case, it's safe to shoot out of this gun. And this one. Anything that's got my Lyman cowboy bullets in it, which are lube-ringed, modern lead round nose cowboy bullets, goes in the new model Vaquero, the old model Vaquero, the double single action Colt News Service, which it doesn't get a lot of them, or my factory open top, because this gun is made to take a lot more abuse and punishment. When they built this gun at the factory, they said it was safe to shoot all modern 45 Colt cowboy bullet grade bullets. Not Buffalo Bore, not Ruger Contenders, not 45 Colt Plus B, but standard 45 Colt bullets are safe to shoot in this gun. Sometimes you need to be a little wary about putting full bore bullets inside these cap and ball conversions because they're just not made to take the same punishment. One of the things that won't take the punishment is that wedge. So if you're going to shoot a lot of smokeless powder loads, you're going to get a hold of Taylor Firearms, Dixie, Track of the Wolf, or somebody and order you some extra wedges. My 2 cents worth on that subject. Be careful what you stick in your gun. And if the bullet is too long to fit the cylinder, then you probably don't want to shoot it out of that gun, which is why I eventually got tired of trimming my brass and I just bought a 100-pack of 45 Schofields. So any 45 Schofield is either loaded with black powder or a reduced cowboy charge. Because if I go get one of my 45 Colts out of my little box over here, which I got to dig for, you'll see it's loaded with a full metal jacket Hornady SST hollow point. If it's got a jacketed bullet in it, that means it'll grenade an Italian gun. You don't load it in there. Not even this one. You'll grenade this gun with that. This is the only gun I got that can shoot those 300 bullets. You really don't want to put them in your new model, Vaquero, because this is not the same strength as the old. You definitely don't want to put it in a gun that was made in 1929. I'm long-winded. I apologize.
You're fine.
You can take me off.
No.
You can take me off the big screen here.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second. I was getting this. I think it's.
But when you do that, Jeremy, just remember that your full-length 45 long Colts are probably not going to fit that Colt. You're going to have to seat the boot deeper, use Schofields, or trim the brass back.
Well, I was also looking at one of these. He's one of these just to get a little pocket
They
pistol.
make a 32. They make a 32 conversion kit for that little 32.
Oh, this is it says 31 caliber, so I have to get a.
That's going to be a 32 automatic or 32 rimfire.
I'd probably get some 32 auto rimfire, so I can reload it.
Well, if they make a 32 ACP, that just means it's going to be you know how it's machined into the cylinder,
Yeah.
so that the rim case is what's going to stop it because there's no rim to catch it. Your problem is Well, you'd have to pretty much have a stick or a piece of brass to punch the brass out of the cylinder anyway.
Yeah, they've got two right here, but they're all out of. So this is what I was thinking about getting because it's the cheapest. But I'm like, that's just gonna be a pain, something a little. So I was looking at some 36s, right? Hold on, just
And remember, if you get a 36 cap and ball and put a conversion cylinder in it, the 355 bullets that you would normally shoot out of 38 specials are too small for the bore.
yeah, I was going to use the Lee real bullet that I have because it's a double loop groove, brown nosed projectile. I was thinking about getting, where is it? This one right here, this little 5.5. But it seems like it's going. Everyone that I want is going for like bukus of money. So I was thinking about, where is it? Get one of these 1860 armies, or not armies, navies, and then taking the loading lever off completely, making the barrel length the way where I want it. Get the cartridge conversion, move the front sight back, and it's basically, and then chop it down to make it where it can fit, and then put it back on there.
Next time you go on Cowboys, look up on members, look up Gary Lee Barnes and send him a PM because I think he is the contract gunsmith for Curse now, and he can fit the conversion cylinder in there for you. Now, ask him about the overall length of that cylinder because if he can trim your forcing cone, if you never want to shoot a cap and ball out of again, he may be able to just trim down your forcing cone and leave the cylinder at full length in order to load the full length 45 Colts in.
Well, I would like to be able to shoot cap and ball out of it again, but there's this right here, right? Well, this is for the Remington. This is what I would like to have, and that way I know I'd have an empty chamber all the time.
Yeah.
For one of the 36s. So I might be if I can get another 36, I'd probably get another one of these, but it seems like everything I want right now is because it's about to be muzzleloading season. Like everything is out of order, but I don't know where in the world you can hunt with a 36 caliber Remington. And this has already got a 6.5-inch barrel, and that's what I want.
Well, you know what? Jeremy, you can split the difference and just get the 44 Sheriff's model. That way your conversion cylinder you already got everything for it.
Yeah. I think this is what Pete was talking about right here. This one right here.
That's what I was talking about when that's what I understood him to be talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to put your hand forward to that cylinder.
Yeah.
To hold it. You want to stay back there on that trigger guard.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all can see the little magnifying glass. Anything in this little area, it is a big no.
You're going to have a bad day.
That's a trip to the hospital.
If that sucker chains fires while your hand's up there, you're going to need more in the hospital.
Oh, yeah. But you said just get another 40.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jeremy, it's getting a little late. I'm going to have to sign off soon. Do you have any other questions in the comments that we can answer real quick? Like one? I'll take one more question.
I'm about to. It's 1 o'clock. I got to get to bed.
Was that?
George Gooding says, don't they have a 45 cowboy round that even shorter than the Schofield? I think it's the 45 Smith & Wesson. Not mistaken.
They call it he's talking about the 45 Cowboy Special. It's based like a trimmed down 45 Colt to a 45 ACP cartridge length. I've seen a few people use it. Once again, it's kind of one of those things of, you know, are you going to be able to invest the time and money into getting it? Sure. I haven't heard anything bad about them. I just don't see a hole in them. So, but yeah, it's called the 45 Cowboy Special. Something.
I'm gonna be. I've set that up because I just got the sheriff models and a whole bunch of other things I need. I'm gonna get that. But yeah, I meant to. I didn't mean for this stream to go this long.
That's all right. It
I was
good.
thinking.
I honestly had a great time.
I did too. I'm expecting an hour and a half.
I think we were at this more like 3 hours, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, three
I
and a
think
half.
we're about 3 hours.
Oh well.
Final note on that question: if you reload and you have a case trimmer, you can make loads at just about any length you want to make them.
Well, I was.
You can trim those down and basically turn them into rim 45 ACPs.
Yeah.
They have. On Midway, they have 44 to. Let me pull it back up so I can show y'all. Give me 1 second. Powder calibers. They have 44 to 45 ACP, but there's only one. Let's back up here. Screen share. Yeah, should be doing that right. Yeah, that's it. And I don't. It's a Uberti for the Uberti 1848 Dragoon steel frame revolver, and that's the only one they've got. That's the only one I've actually even seen. So yeah, there's that. And so he was asking about that. So, but I have a feeling you could, if I'm not mistaken, you could trim 45 Colt 245 ACP and have basically a mouse fart of a 45. And I believe it would shoot. I don't know. I was going to trim down some of those damaged brass and just see if it would, because it's got that rim on it. It fit. But
I've got a 45 ACP cylinder for this gun, and if you trim the brass down to the same length as 45 ACP, the only difference is going to be is one's going to have a rim and one's not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about doing. But anyway, I'm going to end the live stream. Thanks for all coming. I think we actually had close to 15 people tonight. That's surprising.
And I'm long-winded, so I apologize for rattling on if I did. I hope I answered everybody's questions.
I think we definitely had fun.
Yeah, if you want to see Slick back on, let us know down in the comment section so I can tell him, or go on his channel and blow up his YouTube. Because he's more than welcome, because he does an area of cowboy stuff that I don't have a lot of knowledge in. Don has a lot of knowledge. I like having people that have a lot more knowledge than I do. I learn. Everyone learns.
Yep.
Well, you're never done learning. I still learn. I've been in a hobby for 35 years, and I learned stuff that I didn't know. So, I mean, you're never going to quit learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
George Gooding says definitely. So, but yeah, if y'all want to see more of Slick, let us know.
Back.
Yeah.
You just back.
What's that?
Just come back, man. We If they hate you, we love you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep coming back, knowing the invites, and I'll come and whatever topic you got, I'll discuss it. And definitely, obviously, you catch me on Don's Facebook page. I'm always doing something there.
Yeah, and
So.
you've got your own YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you want to share it to the comment section down below when this video goes live, so people can find you, that'd be great. Because after this is over with, I'm crashing.
I got you. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it in the comment section. But thanks.
But yeah, everyone have a nice night and be good people, guys.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Good evening. See ya.